as the Steelers meet one team that's been toughest to beat for them here in Pittsburgh. In fact, in the Central Division, only the Oilers have beaten the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and they've done it 3 times. Working with me, former All-Pro Merlin Olsen, and on a day like this, you even hear some of the old-timers say, hey, I'd like to pull on the pads and be down there and get a shot at tackling the likes of Earl Campbell.
I would like to be down on the field just briefly, but then come right back up here, because one of the exciting things about being here is that I don't have to tackle number 34, Earl Campbell. Dick, I've never seen a runner dish out the punishment to defensive players that Campbell dishes out, and he is just awesome. Those huge thighs and the tremendous shoulder strength, he really puts it on you.
Well, that's quite a high comment. And Terry Bradshaw, man, when he decides to run, has been a tough runner, and he's coming off a mild injury. The toe is okay.
Very concerned. His teammates were upset. He left the field against New England, but he says he is feeling better. I asked him if he could run full speed, and he kind of smiled and said, not unless they chase me. But they do rely on his leadership tremendously. I think the most effective quarterback, certainly the most effective quarterback in football last year, and he's off to a blazing start in 1979.
Whereas Bradshaw blessed with 2 outstanding receivers, some say the best pair in the National Football League, and that's all he has today, Stallworth and Swan.
If one of those is hurt, he's going to have to go to Randy Grossman, who's a tight end. He'll have to move outside. Both Stallworth and Swan are playing injured today, but they're real troopers, great athletes, and they can play hurt.
As these Steeler fans get revved up for the introduction of their Pittsburgh team, of course, this is the first home game since they won the Super Bowl. We'll remind you that Pittsburgh will be attacking an Oiler area defensively. The deep secondary that Bum Phillips says is his biggest improvement.
Phillips went out of his way, along with Coach Biles, to help beef up the secondary of the Oiler team. They did it by adding a couple of young men. Vernon Perry, who came to them from Canada, number 33, and they've elevated J.C. Wilson to a starting position. Wilson, a young man who has better speed than what they've had in there. They're not quite positive of what they've got. They do feel they're going to be more aggressive in the secondary, and that should be helpful.
A quick look, because injuries to Pittsburgh personnel could be a factor today. Some of the outstanding names for the Super Bowl champions will not be playing today, and many will only play in an emergency. We'll be right back.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the toughest Steeler of them all?
When it starts to rain, the Steelers start to bite and hold. Yeah, they do.
Uniroyal presents the Steeler Radio. It's built tough with 2 steel belts, and it's tough to beat when you look at its price.
You want to see a cowboy beat a Steeler?
The Uniroyal Steeler. You want a tough tire at a price that's fair? You want Uniroyal there.
That's Kathy Willis. She teaches at our school. I bet she's worried now about that problem dandruff of hers. I wish she'd ask me.
Mr. Owens, which shampoo do you think?
Ever tried Tegrin?
Does it really work?
Well, in a national survey, 3 out of 4 dermatologists judge the medicated ingredient Integrin effective in fighting even problem dandruff.
I'll give it a test.
How's that dandruff problem?
I'll give Tegrin an A+, Mr. Owens.
Prove it to yourself. Tegrin works.
Who'd ever think a car that looks like this could get good gas mileage like this? Based on EPA estimates, the Porsche 924 can go 278 miles in the city or 524 miles on the highway with just a single tank of gas. The Porsche 924. Whoever thought a Porsche could be this practical?
Doesn't come off.
This thick Rise lather holds so strong, these men can't even shake it off.
I can't even throw it off. Nothing is happening.
This Rise lather holds strong to your finger.
That's it for NFL 79. Executive producer of NFL 79 is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's show produced by Don McGuire, directed by Bob Levy. Technical director Sal Nagita, associate director Mary Buda. Coming up in this second week of the NFL season, the Houston Oilers and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The world returns.
Sellout crowd, Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh to see the Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Oilers, members of the AFC Central Division. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Welcome to this, what should be a bruising battle in this second week of an NFL season. The Steelers kick it off. Matt Barr, high short kick. Ronnie Coleman, no, it's taken out of his grasp by Tim Wilson at the 15, the 20. He slides out across the 25 to the 26-yard line. And the Oilers offense onto the field with number 7, Dan Pastorini at quarterback. NFL Rookie of the Year, former Heisman winner, NFL rushing champion Earl Campbell at running back along with Tim Wilson. In essence, a blocking back is Wilson, number 45. Receivers, Ken Burrow, veteran at one wide spot with Billy White Shoes Johnson, 84 at the other. Mike Barber, the tight end, number 86. Of course, Barber and Mike Wagner, the safety man of the Steelers, embroiled in considerable conversation during the winter. We'll talk more about that later. A whistle on the opening play from scrimmage as referee Pat Haggerty checks with his crew, and it's a legal procedure against the Oilers. That's a tough way to start things. There are the men in the zebra shirts: Conway, Peters, Marshall, Poole, Creed, and Lewis, collaborating with the referee Pat Haggerty. That's not a good way to open a ball game, will it?
You don't want to open with a mistake for sure. Let's take this time to look at the offensive line for the Houston Oilers. The Oilers have had to rebuild a little bit. They lost the whole left side of that line. They now have Gray and Heyman over there in place of Sampson and Reiner. Mock at center, and Fisher and Towns on the other side of the line.
Well, the Oilers come from behind winner last week in Washington against the Steelers. They needed overtime to beat New England in their opener. 1st and 15. No surprise there. It's Campbell out to the 26-yard line. A gain of about 4. 2nd down and 11 as we look at the Steeler defense.
The people that Earl is going to be trying to run over today, a very substantial Steeler defensive line. Beasley has gone in place of L.C. Greenwood, who's out with a knee injury. Joe Green, Steve Furness, John Banaszak. Some new names in there, but some real quality.
2nd down, 11. Pastorini facing a pass situation. He was 12 for 30 last week. Gives to Campbell. Maybe 2. It'll be 3rd and 9 as Tom Beasley, 65, spearheaded the charge. Oh, what linebackers for the men with the black shirts. Ham, Lambert, and Cole. Cole has beaten out Taves at that right side. And the deep backs for the Steelers, Johnson and Blunt at the corners, and Shell and Wagner. On 3rd and 9, Pastorini has 3 wide receivers: Barber, Casper, and Burrow. Throwing long for Burrow, incomplete. Mel Blunt getting help from Mike Wagner, and the Steelers will get the football.
Pastorini's had some arm problems, Dick. He had a viral infection attack one of the nerves in his throwing arm, and he's had trouble getting back into shape for this year. Talked to him yesterday and again this morning. He is improving, says it won't be long before he'll be throwing at maximum efficiency, but right now he's still kind of getting used to it.
Cliff Parsley, who had an excellent week, 45.6 last week in Washington. And Jim Smith, who was not going to play, back at the 34 of Pittsburgh.
How's that, boy?
Beautiful kick. Smith at the 22. Flags are down, and so is Smith at the 36-yard line. The flag is down at the line of scrimmage.
It would appear that someone, excuse me, Dick, would appear that someone was off to the line too quickly. Of course, you're not allowed to leave except for the end man until the ball is kicked. Pittsburgh apparently happy with their field position, just as soon not have another shot at their return.
Al Haggerty's going to talk with Terry Bradshaw, and here it is. The National Football League microphone inoperative. Swan and Stallworth come out on the left side as Bradshaw moves Harris, right halfback. Rocky Blyer starting. Check that. It's Harris who gets out to the 38-yard line, a short gain. Franco Harris and Sidney Thornton are the running backs with quarterback Terry Bradshaw. There's the offensive backfield set for the Steelers. Wide receivers Stallworth and Swan. What a combo. And Randy Grossman for Benny Cunningham at tight end.
There's the offensive line for the Steelers. Veteran crew: Kolb, Corson, Webster, Mullins, Peterson. 2 new names in there, Corson and Peterson.
2nd down 8. scored the 2 touchdowns at New England, one on a rush and the other on a pass wide open. Gets it to the 41-yard line where it'll be 3rd down and 6.
Veteran defensive unit for the Oilers, certainly up front. 2 of the finest defensive linemen in football. Curly Culp, Elvin Bethea, young man Andy Doris on the other side, and outstanding linebackers. Washington, Bingham, a new man in there, Art Stringer, who's taken the place of Steve Kiner. And on the other side, of course, they got Robert Brazil, who's really a great one.
Fumble, and Bradshaw covers it at the 39-yard line, and Andy Doris to make sure that Bradshaw didn't take off with it. L.C. Greenwood on the sideline. Some rate him the best defensive lineman in the NFL, but will not play today.
Get a chance to see why that ball was dropped. It appeared to be a bad snap. Bradshaw and Mike Webster don't have that problem very often. They played together a long while. It goes to show you, even between experienced players, there can be problems.
Colquitt delivers a short punt, slides it off the side of his foot, gets a Pittsburgh bounce, and out of bounds about where the Oilers gave up the football after their first possession, just inside their own 30. So neither team able to pick up a first down. We have no score in Pittsburgh. Scene of some mighty fine football last year.
I can tell you the Houston Oilers are glad it's not the scene of another rainstorm in 26 degrees temperatures. This is more their kind of day.
It is a perfect football day. No breeze, sunshiny skies, temperature in the high 60s. Second possession for the Oilers. It is Tim Wilson, figuring that the Pittsburgh defense would key on Campbell. Wilson, who lugged the ball only 4 times in the opener against the Redskins, hit by Furness and Ham.
One of the interesting things about this Steeler defense, defensive linemen on this team are trained to play all 4 positions. And when you have an injury, you don't worry about it. George Perlis, the defensive coordinator, said, hey, I hate to see L.C. Greenwood on the sideline, but we've got some great people. I want to see him play.
Johnson to the right side. And Earl Campbell pulls his way for a yard, but he's paying for every inch in this first quarter. Banaszak and Lambert storming in to close the hole.
Earl Campbell, of course, known for running over defensive players, and has not done that so far in the ball game. The Pittsburgh defense, I think, pretty well juiced up for the game. They came in ready. Look at 2 of them right there to meet him at the line of scrimmage. They're not going to give him an extra yard as they drive him toward the sideline, turn him toward the sideline, and put him down.
3rd down, 6. Campbell is out. 3 wide receivers. Mike Renfro, 82, seeing his first action of this season. Did not play this summer. Down goes Pastorini. Steve Furness, as they had what the Steelers call a game on. Furness looping around the outside to make the tackle.
I think we'll see a lot of stunning between the defensive linemen as the Pittsburgh Steelers try and put additional pressure. There you see it on the outside. Defensive end coming to the inside, locks up both the tackle and the guard. Furness looping around to the outside, does a beautiful job of getting on Pastorini. And had Pastorini had time to throw, Burrow had gotten open, so the pressure took it away from him.
Well, Myers made a kick from around his own 10. Smith back at the Pittsburgh 41. Wobbly boot. 42. 45. And the Steelers are in Oiler territory at the 49-yard line. Ted Thompson made the tackle. Steve Furness, who logged the Steelers sack, and that puts the Oilers in a bit. Well, that ought to be quite a quinella on Sports World next Saturday. From bowling and some of the great names in bowling history to Doug Jones trying that world record high dive. Terry Bradshaw from the Oiler 49-yard line. First quarter, no score. Thornton, little trouble on the handoff, and Thornton corralled by Greg Bingham, 54. The flag is down.
Both of the defensive linemen on the right side, Bethea and Curly Culp, having a little trouble with Bradshaw's count as they leaned in on Webster. We got to look at them going offsides. They're going to mark it off against the Houston Oilers. Give you a chance to look at it at home. Watch them as they anticipate the count. stagger a little bit. We'll let the referee tell you. But they both apparently were guessing on the count. Bradshaw threw them off and pulled them off sides. Got a 1st and 5. That's kind of down as he liked to have, Dick.
See what Bradshaw does with it. Going long, open, Stallworth out of bounds at the 11-yard line, and a flag is down, holding Pittsburgh. Now the Steelers with a long throw to Stallworth at the 11, but it's called back.
Boy, you hate to see that. Beautiful execution. Bradshaw right on the money to John Stallworth, and you got to walk all the way back up the field. One of the offensive linemen had used his hands a little too effectively. We had a chance to look at the center, Mike Webster, on that last play. Maybe we'll get a chance to see the holding. I don't think it was on Webster, as he did a beautiful job. Watch Webster as he takes Curly Culp here. Pushes him off, gets excellent position on him, pushes him again. Getting a little help from 77, Steve Corson. Webster doing a great job here. Obviously not him that they called the penalty on.
It was on 55, John Cole, Merlin. And how Webster has developed now in his 6th year out of the University of Wisconsin, made All-Pro last season, and especially on that odd man defense, he really is tough against that nose guard, isn't he? 1st down and 15. Bradshaw forced that one. Incomplete at the 37-yard line. Lynn Swan well covered, a trio of white shirts. Hawking number 88, Swan. It'll be 2nd down and 15.
Bradshaw looked and looked and looked, had plenty of time, but simply unable to find anyone open and gunned that one. And that was a dangerous pass. But Terry's arm is so strong that he's not afraid to throw some of those dangerous passes. Occasionally gets him into trouble, but as in that case, his receiver had a shot and no one else.
Bradshaw, who led his Steeler team to 9 victories in 10 games here at home last year, 9-1, Three Rivers record for the Steelers. Buffet appeared to be offside, and flags are down as Thornton powers to the 48-yard line. And again, the Oilers a bit too eager and jumped at the count.
Elvin Bethea jumping off on the right side, and you can hear that hut, 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 a staggered count. Watch Bethea on the right side of your screen as he thinks he's got the snap count. Takes the 1 step. Webster alertly snaps the ball to Bradshaw, and they'll mark off 5 yards. Going to be 2nd and 10.
Offside, 65, defense, 2nd down.
Here's the first score of the day from New England. The Patriots on the board with a Steve Grogan to Harold Jackson 49-yard touchdown pass.
What an emotional game they played against these Pittsburgh Steelers last Monday night. Had to wonder if they'd be able to bounce back, but apparently they're doing it.
And again, the Oilers offside, intended for Stallworth, but this time it was number 67, Mike Stensrud, a rookie from Iowa State. He was offside. The man they call Mongo.
Got to wonder if Bradshaw hasn't crossed him up. He usually does not bark his signals quite as aggressively. And of course, drawing the young rookie off here, he gets his 3rd offsides on the Oiler defense. And boy, those are the kind of mistakes that kill you. And you're playing well defensively. You hate to give up that free yardage.
And for the Steelers, number 20, Rocky Blyer makes his first appearance of this new season. Former Vietnam veteran, like a 3rd guard. He's a great blocking back. 2nd and 5. Harris. Great blocking upfield. And Harris out of bounds at the 40, just shy of the 1st down. Bumped out by J.C. Wilson and Mike Reinfeldt. First report from the Silverdome today. The Lions have taken the early lead against the Redskins. Benny Ricardo, 27-yard field goal. Rocky Blyer in to help Harris on that play. Comes out. Thornton back in on 3rd and 1.
Blyer, of course, recovering from a knee problem that kept him out of the preseason and out of the opener. And they have missed his performance. He's one of the great blockers in the game and also a great team leader.
2 tight ends in there, Cunningham and Grossman. And again, the Oilers are offside. Thornton will get more and almost broke it for the touchdown. First down at the Oiler 29.
Bradshaw really has a number on the Oiler defense as he's able to get them off again and again and again with that staggered count. Watch him here. He's not even bobbing his head. He's doing it all with his voice. Right there. Gets them off, quickly calls again, and then something happens that is very dangerous. A lot of the Oilers relaxed, knowing they were offsides. Thornton took advantage of that, plunging into the end zone. Watch Thornton sliding over behind the fake to Franco Harris. Off tackle behind Steve Corson, who gets a block to the outside. He really accelerates. Great thighs. Runs a lot like Robert Newhouse, Dick.
He does indeed. Let's listen to Bradshaw. Couldn't pick him up that time. Flag down again. Caught. Swan at the 4-yard line. Tackled by Reinfeldt and Perry. Now let's check the penalty. It is illegal procedure. Steelers. So twice Bradshaw has hit Stallworth and then Swan to get Pittsburgh into deep Oiler territory, and both throws have been called back, and Chuck Knowles' brow furrows a bit deeper.
Well, this is not the kind of game we would expect from two polished veteran teams. The mistakes have been really the dominant here in the early going. Pittsburgh twice apparently getting into range for some scoring and being called back on their own mistakes, and the Oilers have been offside, what, 5 times already in this game?
First and goal? No, it's 1st and 15. New Orleans takes the lead at Green Bay on a field goal by Tony Galbraith of 23 yards. So Galbraith kicking field goal. Something's wrong with the Saints. Erxleben. Screen to Harris. 30, 25, 20. First down at the Oilers 16. J.C. Wilson finally bumped Harris out of bounds, and when he gets a full head of steam, he can be mighty rough.
Franco Harris, one of the most productive backs in all of football and one of the most durable. One of the things that happens to you when you play against this Pittsburgh offense, Dick, they've got such great speed on the outside that they really lengthen you out. They send those receivers down. They're getting double coverage, at least on one side, sometimes on both sides. That opens up wide territory, opens you up to the screen, and Bradshaw took advantage of them there.
First down at the Oilers 16. Bradshaw. End zone. Swan at the 1-yard line. Came out of the end zone to make the catch. First and goal, Pittsburgh.
Not much of a trace of that toe injury that was supposed to slow Lynn Swan down. Two things here. Bradshaw has tremendous time to throw the ball. You just can't give Terry Bradshaw that kind of time, or he'll do this to you. As he finds Swan and puts it right on the money, throws it low so there's no chance of an interception, and that's a patented Swan reception.
What a throw. Did you see that tight spiral of Bradshaw dart to Swan? Thornton, touchdown. Sidney Thornton. Big hole on the right side by Corson and Peterson.
A lot of concern here because of injuries which have taken down a number of the good offensive linemen that have been playing regularly for Pittsburgh. But they show their great depth here as they go in behind a couple of reserve linemen, Corson and Peterson, and of course Sidney Thornton himself, a reserve for many years, carrying the ball in for a touchdown.
Matt Barr to kick out of Craig Holtwick's hole. Good. So the Steelers on the board first with 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Thornton's 1-yard run gives Pittsburgh the early lead. Exactly 8 minutes left first quarter. Pittsburgh has a 7-0 lead against the Houston Oilers. Deep to return. Ronnie Coleman just activated this week, and Guido Merkins on the far side. Matt Barr's kick, a little deeper this time. Coleman at the 7, 15, and down at the 20-yard line. Tackled by Randy Grossman, number 84, playing on the special teams. The Steelers, a 49-yard drive, 5 penalties, 2 of those against Pittsburgh, and 6 plays. Actually, there were 4 offside penalties against Houston, and 1 was refused. Dan Pastorini unable to move his club in the first 2 possessions. Oh, look at that bookend. How'd you like to have those on either side of your offensive line? Stallworth and Swan. Pastorini going to throw on first down. Fumbles! And I believe the Oilers have it at the 14-yard line. Yes.
Pittsburgh Steelers laid both their defensive tackles inside. Usually it looks like a stunt in there. I think the offensive line for Houston expected a stunt. Joe Green just slips inside, gets away. It looks like Banaszak, who actually leaped out, stripped the ball away from Pastorini, and it's a very good response from Karl Mock, the center, to get on that football and save it for Houston.
Well, that's saving at least 3 points when you fall on those fumbles. Houston in the 4th quarter last week at Washington recovered 1 of Redskins and 1 of their own that saved the victory. Out of the backfield, Tim Wilson, fumble! And Wilson recovers his own fumble as he's hit by Lauren Taves, number 51, linebacker from California.
Lauren Taves, very active and alert linebacker. You see him here, locked up with Barber, the tight end, but quickly read the screen, came up, is in position right there. Coleman trying to get away. Taves gets him by the arm, strips it. And boy, I'll tell you, he's lucky to get on that football.
Other scores, New England hits again, 14-0 on a Grogan to Stanley Morgan bomb of 37 yards. And New York jumps out to a big early lead, 14-0. Kotar and Jones have scored. Ernie Jones on an interception of Hart. Earl Campbell with a fine, he fumbles. Does it go out of bounds? Yes, and the Oilers maintain possession. They fumbled on all 3 plays of this series, and what are the odds of recovering all 3?
Very dangerous and reminiscent, Dick, of the championship game here when a record 12 fumbles were dropped on this turf, and of course that was a disastrous day for the Houston Oilers. They're going to get back on the sideline and try and regroup a little bit.
All right, Bum Phillips must feel at this point there's something to those terrible towels. Jim Smith will be on the other end of Parsley's kick. Parsley 2 yards into his own end zone. Smith at the 50-yard line. Good snap. Dying spiral. And it goes out of bounds at the Houston 43-yard line. So Pittsburgh, the 2nd straight time after a punt that they put it in play on the Houston half of the field. Timeout. 6 minutes, 13 seconds left in the 1st quarter. Steelers with the ball and the lead.
Ram power. Dodge gives you Ram power.
Now Dodge pickups go beyond tough. They're Ram tough. The biggest maximum payloads. More than Ford or Chevy. The most brute power with its most fuel-efficient V8. And with optional 3-speed automatic. The best mileage ratings, too. More than Ford or Chevy. Now,
Dodge trucks are Ram tough.
One higher mileage, Chrysler Corporation is #1 in gasoline mileage of the big 3. Now Chrysler offers a $400 rebate. Make your best deal on these Dodge cars, trucks, and vans, and Chrysler will send you a $400 check. Get a Dodge Diplomat, get a check. Get a St. Regis, get a check. Get a Magnum, get an Aspen, get a Dodge van, or a full-sized pickup. And get a $400 check. Check it out at Dodge.
The Steelers scored on their last possession, a 49-yard drive, and they open at the Oiler 43 after a short 30-yard punt by Cliff Parsley. 6 minutes remaining in the 1st quarter here at Three River Stadium. Franco Harris inside the Houston 40. Art Stringer, 53, from Ball State. First man to make contact for the Oilers.
Stringer's been a fine addition to this linebacking crew, which is one of the best balanced linebacking crews in the NFL. He's given them more range and better pass coverage ability out of that position. Steve Keinert played there for many years, played very well, but they feel that Stringer has the ability to work right alongside Robert Brazil, who's been a consistent All-Pro.
Second down, a long 6 for Bradshaw. Play action. Bubble. And this time it's the Steelers who are able to move in and cover their own mistake as 52, Mike Webster, the center, alertly fell on the loose ball. Oh, if they're not penalties, they're fumbles. What a wild start.
Boy, it is a wild start, and that was blitzing linebacker Brazil, who actually came in over the top and whacked that ball away from Bradshaw. Bradshaw had done a beautiful job of hiding the ball, but they had the blitz on, and they were able to get the penetration and knock it out just as he raised it to start the throw.
The winningest Steeler coach ever, Chuck Noll. He won his 100th game. That counts postseason games. Last Monday night in New England. Four-man defensive front for the Oilers on 3rd and 14. Bradshaw deep through the hands of Lynn Swann. A tough catch for a normal receiver, but when Swann goes in the air, you usually expect him to come down with a football, and he comes up limping just a bit.
Swann running into double coverage here. Watch him as he goes down the field. You got to look at it right there. Number 32, Vernon Perry, stays to the inside, knowing he has help out there. Gets outside. You'll see a second Oiler coming in, but it's really Perry as he stays with Swann and knocks the ball away. That's Wilson coming into the picture right at the end.
Vernon Perry from Jackson State, where he was a teammate. Walter Payton and Robert Brazil. Colquitt hangs it up. Fair catch, Guido Merkins. One of Merlin Olsen's favorite names. Guido Merkins at the 14 for Houston.
Well, Merkins is a character. He's played wide receiver, defensive back, and now is listed as a backup quarterback. I asked him in the locker room, I said, how do you know which meeting to go to? He said, I can go to anyone I want. I know what they're doing in there.
He's an interesting story, a free agent pick, and he made the club because Gerald Wilson, scouting for Houston, played softball with him in the summer. Said, hey, this kid's a pretty good athlete. Why don't you take a look at it? Now he's got an NFL uniform. Pastorini looking for his first down. Earl Campbell got out of the hole to Jack Ham, but Jack Lambert nails him. That's the trouble with the Steelers. You get by an all-pro and Ham, and here comes another guy, Lambert, to nail you.
Campbell showing fine speed, getting to the outside. But one thing you'll see at the end of this replay is about 8 or 9 Steelers out there where the action is. Ham strings it out, forces Campbell behind the line, and really makes the play. He gives the defense time to come to the outside. There's nowhere to go. Donnie Shell up, and that's Lambert coming in to stick it away.
Campbell now, 4 rushes, has only 5 yards. 2nd and 12. Pastorini. Reverse for Campbell. He's got some running room. 10, 15. Outside at the 20 and out of bounds near a first down at the 23. So Pastorini gave it the pass look, and Campbell with a couple of false steps to the right, then circled back, kind of a Statue of Liberty type play.
Variation off the statue play. You got to look at it right there as Campbell had started to his right, reversed and came around. And now watch some of the elusiveness of this big back. Cuts inside, gets away from one man there, a nice block thrown on him, and then breaks outside, uses his speed and power to get the extra yardage.
He's just short of the first down as the Oilers look for their first of the game. Campbell and Wilson on 3rd and 1 behind Pastorini. Campbell. First down at the 27. Merlin, you almost get the feeling that the Oilers love that situation, short yardage and giving it to Campbell, because if he can pop through that initial defense, he's the kind of guy that can turn a short gainer into an 80-yard score.
One of the dangers always in stacking the line of scrimmage and taking the gaps as you do on short yardage is that you leave yourself vulnerable if, as you say, if the receiver or if the ball carrier can pop through that initial yardage, especially with a ball carrier like Campbell. You don't want to get him isolated on your defensive backs or linebackers. You just run over him.
First down at the 27, 7-0 Pittsburgh. 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Campbell again. Oh, is he hit by John Banaszak, number 76, and Robin Cole, 56. Other scores. First report from Buffalo. 3-0. The Bills on Tom Dempsey's short 18-yard field goal. And the Redskins have taken the lead at Detroit. Joe Theismann to Ricky Thompson, a 9-yard score. 7-3 Washington leads.
Steelers varying their defense a little bit for this game, knowing that Campbell must be stopped. And they've stacked their people inside pretty well. Furness able to take advantage of his position to make that last stop on Campbell.
2nd and 10. Holding, I believe, against the Oilers as Joe Green takes care of Pastorini. The All-Pro from North Texas State still gets his share of sacks.
Well, of course, the man I think responsible for that play more than anybody, as you see Beasley coming off, he's broken his mask, was Steve Furness, who broke quickly inside, got away from Heyman, and I think Heyman hung on to him. I think that's where the flag came from. Watch it yourself. Watch Furness. Whoops, here he comes. Inside of Conway Heyman. You see Heyman trying to hold him out of there. He gets by Mock. Now watch Joe Green slide onto the other side and get a clean shot right there at Pastorini. But I think the flag went down on Conway Heyman.
There's another one of those games that defensive line plays, and let's follow that as one of our themes today, Merlin Olsen. We'll first get the word from the official.
Holding, number 70, decline, 3rd down.
Even with a hold, Heyman couldn't stop Furness from ruining the play. The fact that those 4 defensive linemen really have their own creativity, and I know you were a part of that, it kind of helped to originate that system when you were with the Rams.
The defensive linemen love to stunt, gives them freedom, and gives them a chance to use some finesse on those offensive linemen.
3rd and long for Pastorini. He goes long to Burrow. Off his fingertips. Mel Blunt on the coverage. One of the better man-for-man cornerbacks in the league. Had it.
Blunt and Burrow have been playing against each other for about 13 years. 4 years in college and 9 years in the pro. And I asked Burrow about Blunt. He said, yeah, he knows me better than my wife does. And he proved it there as he was right on top of Burrow for that pass route.
Right off the fingertips is Pastorini trying to hit the long bomb threat of Burrow. Parsley's last 2 kicks have not been good. Jim Smith stands at the Steeler 44. Smith at the 40. And he's strung out by good coverage. Ted Thompson, 51, finally made the tackle. He's one of the top special teams players for the Oilers. A 41-yard punt, 3-yard return for the Steelers. 7-0. The Steelers lead. Bum Phillips Oilers. Second half, we have some fun. Bradshaw dishes it off to Harris to the 46-yard line. A gain of about 3. Andy Doris, 69 off the pile, and Greg Bingham, 54 on the tackle. At New England, the Jets have connected on a Pat Leahy 30-yard field goal. 14-3 New England, first quarter. Memories of that game we did last year up at New England when they blew out the Jets, but then the Jets came back to play some of their best football. There's the defensive front 4 of the Steelers taking a breather. Harris again near midfield, short of the first down. Andy Doris again down at the bottom of the pile for the Oilers, and Greg Bingham motioning in as if somebody may have been injured.
We get Larry Brown, number 79, who's been nursing an injury, has not played and will not play today except in short yardage. That's Steve Corson. Boy, they can ill afford to lose another offensive lineman as he goes back limping to the huddle. Does not want to come out of there, but he's going to have to as he cannot do his job.
You made a good point, Merlin, that Larry Brown was a player that the Steelers did not want to use today. He's already in there, and now they have to use Tom Dornbrook of Kentucky. So they're down to their last healthy lineman, the rookie from Kentucky. That's close to the first down. We may have a measurement. At first quarter, dominated by the Steeler offense. And New Orleans now with another field goal at Green Bay early in the second quarter, leading the Packers 6-0.
Not only dominated the first quarter, but actually Houston comes away with negative yardage. 15 yards rushing, a -21. Of course, that's the sacks coming into play there. And Pittsburgh with 23 yards rushing and 34 in passing, a comfortable 57 yards in the first quarter.
Chuck Knoll not going to gamble at midfield since in the punting team. Colquitt to kick it to Guido Merkins. And Bill Courier. That one's headed for the end zone and is in the end zone. Dwayne Woodruff 49, Larry Anderson 30 downfield to try to cover. It'll be the Oilers ball at the 20-yard line. So early in the second quarter here in Pittsburgh, Oilers with the ball trailing Pittsburgh 7-0.
Hey, Waco, Texas.
Mark the different time next Saturday for Sports World at 3 o'clock Eastern time, 12 noon on the West Coast, because we have 1 o'clock baseball, both Major League Baseball contests from the West Coast, Cincinnati at Los Angeles, Houston at San Francisco. Pastorini and the Oilers at their own 20-yard line. Play action fake. Gets Earl Campbell. Bubble! No, they call it an incomplete pass. They say Campbell did not have possession, and Ron Johnson, with eyes on the scoreboard, has to bring it back.
Jack Lambert, one of the premier linebackers in the NFL. You'll get a chance to watch him in action as he backs up from his middle linebacking position, reads the play, comes quickly forward. Campbell looked to me as if he had control of that ball, and Lambert is having trouble getting his hands on it. Watch him as he crawls after it. Oh, frustrating moments.
And Lambert, that looked like a new swim stroke. We might see that in the next competition.
That's one to tease him about.
2nd and 10. Open down the middle, Johnson. Billy White Shoes Johnson, first down at the 45 of the Oilers. What a throw by Pastorini. Nothing wrong with his arm on that one.
Excellent pass and an excellent reception by White Shoes there. We asked Bum Phillips if he was going to use White Shoes Johnson as a kick returner. He said, I can't. He's too valuable to me as a pass receiver, and I only have 2 healthy receivers right now. And you see how healthy he is as he gets up beautifully and pulls that nice pass in from Pastorini, and that's the first big play for Houston offensively of the day.
Minnesota early in the second quarter. Tommy Kramer scrambling 2 yards to give Vikings 7-0 lead at Chicago. Intercepted. Lambert picks it off and is to his own 46-yard line. Obviously, Jack Lambert, he likes it when he doesn't have to swim the 50. If he only takes 1 stroke, he can come up with a ball.
That's very frustrating. I think one of the most frustrating moments there is for a quarterback who has fired it into the arms of a receiver and then watches it bounce away to be intercepted. And it'll be credited as an interception. Watch the pass here. Right on target to Barber. Bounces into the air, and alertly, Jack Lambert is there. Lambert, watch him as he drops into pass coverage here. Is over quickly around the football, and that's what makes him such an outstanding football player.
Jack Lambert, 2nd interception of this young season. Pittsburgh leading 7-0, and Bradshaw typically going to go right to the air. Randy Grossman, first down at the Oiler 40-yard line. The ever-dependable tight end Grossman from Temple. What hands?
Bradshaw knows that the 2 wide receivers are going to be double covered frequently. That opens up tremendous territory inside. You see him scrambling for some extra time here. Picks out Randy Grossman. Grossman is in the open, having picked a spot in the seam there. They take him down, but that's a big gain for the Pittsburgh Steelers and a first down.
Bengals have scored on a Pete Johnson run to take a 7-3 lead at Buffalo, and Washington now leads Detroit 10-3. Mosley with a field goal for the Redskins in the second quarter. Bradshaw, Stallworth, he's to the 21-yard line, and how did he hang on to the ball? He took quite a pop.
Dick, I think one of the things that sets Stallworth aside is you see him accepting some of the pain that goes with that. Looks like he grabbed his wrist, and we said he had wrist problems. He has such incredible concentration. This is the kind of pass that receivers hate to catch. They're coming into traffic right there. He refused to take his eye off that football, took the shot, went to the ground. Look on the inside as Bradshaw drops, finds his man, puts it on the money, but look at the shot right there from 32, Vernon Perry, who really will hit you.
First down Steelers at the Oiler 21, leading 7-0. 11.5 minutes remaining in the first half here in Pittsburgh. Franco Harris. Fine defensive play by 52 Robert Brazil as he backed up Andy Doris. Doris and Brazil collaborating to drop Harris in the backfield. Just gave him no options. Couldn't cut back inside and couldn't get wide. New York Jets fall behind 21-3 in the second quarter. Steve Grogan has 3 touchdown passes, all long ones, to Jackson for 49, Morgan for 37, and he's hit Morgan again for 50. We're going to give you those scores as they arrive in our NBC booths. We'll keep you up to date on all the other NFL action. Might be too much time for the Steelers. Umpire who keeps the official time blew the whistle. Doris and Bradshaw, a little bump there that neither man seemed to want.
Chuck Noll must be very happy. I think one of the offensive linemen lifted his hand on that. Chuck Noll, a very happy coach on the near sideline, but I think Bum Phillips has to be extremely upset on the far sideline. He told me earlier that he felt that his team was at the same point that they reached perhaps at midseason last year, and that he was feeling very good about the progress they'd made. Up to this point in the game, they have not looked good. They've made a great many errors. They've not played with the kind of intensity that I'm sure he wants to see on the field.
Willie Alexander goes in the defensive backfield and a front 4 instead of a 3-4. And again, an offside. Broken up by 33, J.C. Wilson. And the Steeler fans felt Wilson was holding with a free hand. Wilson from the University of Pittsburgh, born in Cleveland, playing in Houston. He was born to be a Central Division player.
I wonder if there was a bumping going on. Certainly there was some contact there, but the defensive man is entitled to some territory, and if the contact is incidental to both men being in the same position at the same time, it's not a penalty on the defensive man. Just good position by the defender, and of course every receiver I know will scream in a case like that, hoping to get a call.
Wilson, the nickname Squeaky, and boy, he was in a tight spot there with Swan, broke up the play. There was no offside. They didn't call it on 71 Kennard. Apparently he got back in time. Grossman had not turned soon enough. He was covered by Alexander. The pass seemed to hit him right in the left knee.
Bradshaw under quite a bit of pressure on that one. As the Houston defense has been employing a 4-man rush as opposed to the 3-man. Of course, they play the 3-man line regularly, but they feel that they're getting more pressure now, and they finally have some young defensive linemen that they can put into the game. In fact, Coach Bum Phillips is very proud of the young men he's brought in the last couple of years. Feels that he has 6 good defensive linemen now.
Matt Barr, this could be out of his range. 45 yards. Good. They said anything over 40 was a bonus from Barr, and he roots one out 45 yards, and the Steelers take a 10-0 lead. No, Barr's Bears root. They've replaced Girella's Gorillas, and it's 10-0 Pittsburgh early in the second quarter.
Hey, don't worry. They just got lucky.
I'm sorry. I let us down.
Forget it. We'll beat them next week.
No, I really let us down.
Come on. How about a Michelob Light, huh?
Michelob makes a light beer?
Sure.
The good taste of Michelob Light. Don't just compare it to other light beers. Compare it to your regular beer. It's that good.
This Michelob Light is great. Hey, you know what our real problem was today?
Yeah, you were terrible.
Good taste runs in the family.
To drive through dirt and dust, good filters are a must. You can trust AC.
Thanks, AC.
Trust those filters by AC.
Sure glad I installed new AC air and oil filters before we get into this mess.
I bet AC helps protect those babies too, huh, Dad?
If they're smart.
George!
Oh!
So when you gotta go, we're the name to know. You can trust AC.
Thanks, AC.
Trust those filters by AC.
Thanks, AC.
Trust those filters by AC.
A brutal rape, and now her mother's out for justice.
3-year-old rookie. He looks more like 13 when you see him out of uniform. At least made his faithful happy with a 45-yard field goal. 10-0 Pittsburgh. The kick is to Ronnie Coleman at the 5. 15, 20, Had a little daylight for a moment and staggers out to the 20 line where Zach Valentine, 54, rookie linebacker for the Steelers, makes this tackle. Well, we've gone from the gorilla to the bear here at Three Rivers Stadium. Rather passive-looking animal. That's unlike the way this game has been going.
I think Pastorini thinks he's facing a group of bears out there. They've really been tough to work against. Pressure is on right now on Houston's offense. They've got to get something going, got to get some points on the board.
10 minutes remaining in the first half. Pastorini is 3 of 7 for 19 yards. Gives it to Campbell. Gets to the 30, maybe the 31, 65. Tom Beasley from Virginia Tech replacing the injured L.C. Greenwood with a tackle. And it appears on those first downs, Merlin, that defensive line, they're not playing any stunt. They just try to physical you, just play your area and stop Campbell. They're zeroing in on 34.
Would appear that they're playing the run very strongly, too. They haven't missed L.C. like you think they might, but that's because of the depth and quality of the backups on this Pittsburgh team.
Slips it off to Wilson, and Wilson gets 6 yards to the 36-yard line before Lauren Taves can make the stop. And you could see those black shirts all looking at Campbell, and when he dumped the ball off to his other running back, Wilson, there's a little daylight. Other scores, the New York Giants leading 14-0. have seen the Cardinals score early in the second quarter. Theodis Brown, a short run, 14-7 Giants. And at Chicago, Bob Thomas's field goal for the Bears, 34 yards, puts them on the board. Vikings lead 7-3 midway through the second quarter. Barber, Rucker, and Castor in for Houston. And it's Campbell. Doesn't make it. What a play by 65 Tom Beasley. That's what Merlin told you about at the start of our telecast. The depth of the Steelers so outstanding, they don't even miss an all-pro like L.C. Greenwood.
Well, Beasley excited to be in the game and thrilled to death to make that play. Got a lot of help by watching the cornerback, number 29, Ron Johnson, came up so hard, forced Campbell to go outside and left Beasley one-on-one on Campbell and had him going toward the sideline, was able to take him down.
Well, the Oilers have to give up the ball again. Parsley kick it to a trio of Steelers. Smith, the deep man, at the 27. Beautiful spiral kick. All the way to the 13. 20, 25 goes the wide receiver from the University of Michigan. 49-yard kick, 12-yard return. The Steelers have the ball again. 8 minutes remaining in this first half in Pittsburgh. Steelers lead 10-0. Boy, the pennant races are really something. National League, Pittsburgh leads Montreal by only 1, and next week you'll see Cincinnati at Los Angeles. The Reds now lead Houston by a half game, and the Astros will be at San Francisco. Check that time now, 4 game, and the Astros will be at San Francisco. Check that time now, 4 o'clock Eastern time next Saturday. Of course, we'll have the playoffs for you. American and National League early in October. Fumble! And right back to Thornton. He recovers at the 26-yard line. That's the 5th fumble of this game. All 5 recovered by the fumbling team.
Unusual to see that happen. Usually you drop the ball that many times, one of those opposite colored shirts is going to jump on the ball. Thornton, coming out of the game, apparently didn't quite get that into grasp before he tried to run away with it.
The Bills of Buffalo have taken the lead against Cincinnati 10-7. Terry Miller, a 2-yard run. Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer replaces Thornton. And there goes Harris. First down across the 36-yard line.
Robert Brazil is one of the fine linebackers in football, but even the play of a Brazil cannot nullify that beautiful run by Franco Harris. Watch Brazil as he gets a read, gets out of the block right there. Number 20, Rocky Blyer, comes down to help on the tackle, but already Franco has the big gain in the first down.
Mike Reinfeld, 37, also in on the stop as you look at Willie Alexander with Coach Bum Phillips on the Houston side of the field. Pittsburgh leads 10-0. 6:43 left first half. Toss to Harris. And Art Stringer, 53, Good name for a linebacker because often he has to string out those wide sweeps, and that's just exactly what Art did and made a good textbook tackle.
That's what Coach Biles said about that young man. Said he has great range and able to get out there, and you saw it right there.
As Bum Phillips would say, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Sellout crowd on a beautiful football day in Pittsburgh. The Steelers lead Houston 10-0 with 6:05 remaining in the first half. The Kenberg with Berlin Olsen. It is 2nd down and 10 for the Steelers at their own 37-yard line. Rocky Blyer all the way to the 45-yard line. 9 yards for Blyer. That's his first carry of this new season.
Rocky Blyer, sorely missed for his blocking, also can come in and get the big run for you. Knowing that they're going to key Harris, he gets some good blocking, some trapping on the inside, Cole blocking well, Webster, and Blyer accelerates rapidly, but ends up going the other way with some fine work in the defensive backfield. Not till he got close to that first down. It'll be 3rd and just over a yard to go.
Officially just an 8-yard gain for Blyer, who's out. Thornton is in on 3rd and a short 2. Oh, look at that submarining move by Thornton. He's only 5'11", 230, and when he hit the line, there wasn't much to tackle except helmet and shoulder pads.
Looked like he was running in the form of Earl Campbell on that one. One of the advantages of a runner built like Campbell or like Thornton, like Robert Newhouse, tremendous thigh size and very low center of gravity. And when they bunch down and put those shoulders and that headgear at you, you just can't grab onto anything. It's like trying to tackle a bowling ball.
And Thornton got the first down for Bradshaw and the Steelers at the Oiler, or check that, Pittsburgh's 47-yard line. Bradshaw to throw. Gets it off to Blyer. And Blyer's to the Houston 45, and what a job by Bradshaw as he had to throw out of the hold of Robert Brazil, who was in on him in a hurry. He didn't have much time.
The kind of play that shows the maturity of a Terry Bradshaw, able to read that blitz and didn't panic at all, just simply dropped that football off to Blyer. You see Brazil coming. He's just scorching in on top of Bradshaw, but still able to get it out, and a good job of Blyer. Realizing the blitz was on, he turned very quickly to accept that pass.
Blyer and Thornton shuttling in and out of that backfield for the Steelers, and each contributing. It's now 2nd and a long 1 at the Oiler 44. Franco Harris, maybe a yard at best. Let's check on other action in the National Football League. The Cardinals down 14-0 in the first quarter. Have scored twice in the second period. Mark Arneson has just returned a fumble, 30 yards to tie the game with the Giants at 14. Elsewhere, the Redskins now move in front 17-3 at Detroit as Benny Malone has scored on a 5-yard run. And at Green Bay, New Orleans 12, the Packers nothing. Archie Manning hits Henry Childs, 33-yard touchdown score. Missed extra point in that game. Here it's 10-0 Pittsburgh. Offside again. Harris straight ahead, or Thornton it is.
Again, the defensive line of Houston reacting to that audible count. And the defensive linemen are trained to watch the football. Watch what happens when they use their ears instead of their eyes. They end up going offside. And I'll tell you, Terry Bradshaw has really taken advantage of him. That's Stensrud, the young rookie right there, listening to the count instead of watching that football. Webster alertly snapping the ball when he saw him over the line of scrimmage.
First down.
Who was most effective at that dysrhythmic count? Bill Munson when you played?
Munson got us 11 times when we played Detroit one year. I think he got Deacon Jones 9 times in that game.
You went to sleep at night hearing that wrong.
Still hear that barking count.
Now the Steelers on one of their patented long drives. Bradshaw, great fake. Intercepted by Art Stringer, but he was down on contact from Stallworth. So Stringer took it right out of Stallworth's mitts, and Houston stops the Pittsburgh drive. That's the first interception this year thrown by Bradshaw, and it took a fine play by the backer Stringer. So the Oilers have the football, 2:52 remaining in the first half. They trail by 10.
Charles Levitan's just got a Dodge Aspen and
an interception in each of his first 2 years with the Oilers, has his first of 79.
You can see why the Oilers like this young man. He gets back very quickly, has excellent range and great concentration on the ball, able to strip it right there. But that's a defensive play. What the Oilers need right now is some big offensive play, and they just haven't gotten it here early in the ball game.
They have only 1 first down in this first half. Pastorini looking for Johnson, and all they can see are black shirts. Furness and Banaszak smothering. 3rd sack for the Steelers.
Very difficult to throw the ball when you have to throw the ball. And I think the Steelers were a little bit ahead of Pastorini, anticipating that he might go to the play-action pass, getting great penetration. Watch yourselves. Steve Furness, 64, Joe Green, both driving hard inside, and it's Furness that's all over Pastorini. Banaszak coming in from the right side. Very difficult to throw when you're on your back.
That was straight ahead power. This time they're liable to have a stunt on. Good protection. And off the fingertips of Richard Castor, the veteran from Jackson State, who led the Oilers last year with 5 touchdown catches.
One of the things that is terribly obvious to us is that Campbell is not having a very productive day, and that really hurts Pastorini. He's been used to having Campbell average 4 or 5, in fact over 5 yards a carry early in the year. Right now Campbell has 9 carries for 23 yards, and that's not the kind of productivity they're used to.
Conrad Rucker, 87, joins the Oiler huddle. He's the big 260-pound tight end. Rob Carpenter, 26 in the backfield, as Campbell is out.
We've got 2 tight ends right now.
Pastorini dumps it off to Carpenter, and he can't get back to the line of scrimmage. Jack Ham, 59, makes the play for the Steelers, and they love the defense in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Steelers playing excellent defense, and this crowd is just going crazy.
Now 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Pittsburgh with a 10-0 lead, and they're going to get the ball again. Minutes left in the first half. The Steelers with a 10-0 lead. It's been a quiet Sunday afternoon thus far for Earl Campbell. Parsley to kick. Smith in midfield for the Steelers. Great kick. He really hit one. Smith all the way to the 25, now at the 18. 30, and out of bounds at the 38-yard line. That was an official's cap and not a flag, and now a flag goes down. The official couldn't find his flag, threw his cap at the 28, and you have to feel that's either a block below the waist or a clip against the Steelers. 57-yard kick and a beauty by Parsley.
It looked like Dirt Winston actually got 2 blocks there. I don't know whether they called it on him, but there was some good hitting going on the part of the Steelers. One of the dangers of kicking the ball that well is you sometimes outkick your coverage, and you get yourself in trouble. Parsley really bumped that thing out of there.
Pat Haggerty.
We have a personal foul. Clipping on the run back.
We're going to have all the scores for you on NFL 79 at halftime. As you see the clip again, we'll duck in one right here. New England has taken a 28-3 lead over the Jets in the second quarter.
You saw the double block by Winston, but I didn't pick out the clipping. Perhaps you saw it at home.
Ball at the 14 for the Steelers. See how safely they play it. 1:47 left in the half. Well, Bradshaw going to go to the air. Benny Cunningham, number 89, the biggest tight end in the NFL in terms of height, 6'5" and 247. Good target, but pass a little awry. And a bit surprised, aren't you, Merlin, to see Bradshaw throw from that deep in his own end with just a 10-0 lead?
Not really. Bradshaw has gotten so confident in his passing game, Dick, that he's not afraid to throw anywhere on the field. And really, the Steelers have gone from a team that's number 1 weapon was Franco Harris to a team that's number 1 weapon is the arm of number 12, Terry Bradshaw.
Right, stop the clock with 1:42 left. The Oilers trying to pin the Steelers in. Play action, screen, drop by Thornton. Now Sidney Thornton, who is a bit of an enigma for the Steelers in that one day he'll catch everything inside and the other days can't catch himself, and he's dropped a couple today, and that hurts the Steeler cause. And at the same time for the Oilers, those two incomplete passes save Oiler timeouts and stop the clock. 1:37 left in this first half. 10-0 Pittsburgh.
And they bring in a fifth defensive back and a fourth defensive lineman to try and put some additional pressure. They'd love to get a big break defensively, maybe an interception, something to get them hopping offensively, maybe put some points on the board.
Bradshaw gets out of the trap. Has a man open. Lynn Swann at the 43 of Houston, and Bradshaw does it again.
If you wonder why Terry Bradshaw was the MVP last year in both the Super Bowl and the NFL, watch him here. It looks like a sure sack. Gets out of the grasp of one, pulls away from Stensrud, and still concentrating downfield, picks out the receiver, fires the completion. Just a tremendous play. And the only reason he can make that play, two reasons. First, because he's mobile, and second, because he never lost his concentration. Watch Swann here, breaking down the field. Sees that Bradshaw's in trouble and breaks open down the field, then comes back to the football. Mike Reinfeldt there to put him on the ground. But that's a great, great play.
Terrific coverage, guys, and some of the folks watching down in Texas might have wondered whether Swann didn't push off on J.C. Wilson, number 33, as he ad-libbed his pattern upfield. He did use a little push, but at that point, I think he was using that just to change his momentum, and the ball had not been thrown as yet. Let's look at it again.
Well, again, you're watching Swann and Wilson on top of him here. Swann turns in. Now, that's where the ball originally would have been thrown. Swann gets a little bump right there, but that really has little to do with the play as Bradshaw is scrambling for his life upfield. It was the second reaction to Swann that was the great one.
What a play. There you saw the combination of Bradshaw and Swann that has electrified the fans, and certainly a tough combination to beat in this NFL. Knocked down by Robert Brazil, playing to his all-pro status in this first half. Stops the clock with 1:19 left in the half. Stay with us at halftime. We'll have all the scores, the highlights. Brian Gumble, Mike Adamle from New York. In this second week of the NFL year. Here in Pittsburgh, the highlights. Thornton scoring on a 1-yard run, capping a 49-yard drive to give the Steelers a 7-0 lead. Matt Barr's 45-yard field goal making it 10-0. And for the Oilers, you have to search a while to find any offensive highlights. Pittsburgh's defense much too tough.
Well, I think the highlight of this first half is that they have played that poorly and they're only 10 points down.
Bradshaw looking for Swann. He's got him open. And I believe Swann on a healthy foot would have caught that one. He seemed to slow up a bit.
Bradshaw getting some pressure there. Still able to throw that ball powerfully down into the end zone. And Swann, as you said, had he not been limping a little bit, usually manages to make that play.
He always seems to get open, doesn't he?
Always seems to find a way. And of course, that doesn't do any good unless you've got protection so you can throw it and a quarterback that can deliver the ball. This quarterback can deliver the ball, even under pressure. And you see the timing here as Swann drives into the end zone just off the fingertips.
And we get another look at Swann, who drives those defensive backs. Boy, those big strides that he takes. And he got behind 33 Wilson and just missed for 6. Bradshaw going to go deep again. Stallworth. And he had beaten everyone by 5 yards. And Bradshaw let him just a step too much.
If you have one great receiver on a team, you can double cover him every play. If you have two great receivers, as you look at the statistics for Bradshaw, which are not nearly as impressive as what he's put on the board and the way he's played, if you have two great receivers, then you have a problem. And if you have a tight end that can catch the ball on top of that, as Pittsburgh does, you've really got your problems cut out for you defensively.
Well, you do have to have empathy for that Oiler defense and anyone else that plays these Steelers. Colquitt driving it toward the sidelines and out of bounds. It'll be but just inside the 20. And the Oilers will have a final shot with just under a minute remaining, 59 seconds in this first half. All the scores and highlights on NFL 79, so stay with us at halftime. New England beating the Jets big thus far. Now a lead 35-3 before halftime. New Orleans trying to surprise Green Bay at home. Well, will Pastorini try to hit on something with a minute to go? 10-0 Pittsburgh. Nowhere near Earl Campbell. Someone missed a route, I believe.
Well, either that or Pastorini may be having trouble with his arm. And you see the concern on the face of Bum Phillips. But the one thing I would say that Houston has going for them going into the locker room in this first half, although they have really not done a thing offensively, their defense has kept them within 10 points in this ball game. And 10 points is not a lot for a team like Houston that has an offensive running game and the ability to throw that ball and explode on you.
And the Oilers are the type of team that usually force a mistake or two as well. They create a lot of fumbles with their hard hitting. Pastorini 2nd and 10 at the 17. Mix up Wilson and Pastorini all but colliding and barely the handoff. Tom Beasley makes another tackle in the backfield of the Oilers.
Some days things just do not go right, and you're looking at a man who's shaking his head right now, Dante Pastorini. Pastorini, of course, as we said earlier, had suffered with arm problems earlier, was not terribly pleased with his passing last week. In fact, said, gee, I'm glad we got out of the game with a victory. I didn't want to lose it for us. But his offense today, and then we can't lay it all on Pastorini, as there have been a great many mistakes that have kept them from performing. One of them you just saw is a near collision in the backfield. Pastorini dropping back a little, looks like a kind of a statue play, and Wilson choosing to go inside instead of behind as he should on that play. Unable to get by cleanly, and of course the play stopped for a loss.
Well, a measure of the confidence of the Steelers, they called the timeout with 40 seconds left. They figure they'll stop Houston, get the ball back again. Merlin, you're involved in a new NBC project on Saturday morning called Timeout, and I happened to see some of the pieces that you did, and I think you're going to be featured the very first week next Saturday, and they've been a lot of fun, haven't they?
They really have. A chance to talk to the kids about some things that mean something to us as athletes. We'll have some gymnastics, some football, some track, a lot of different opportunities for the kids to get a little insight into some of the different sports that they can participate in.
And Doug Henning, the great magician, also has some delightful magic. How does he do it?
Hey, I'm going to watch that.
Every Saturday morning on NBC. 3rd and 14. Rob Carpenter, the only setback. Good protection this time. Open. No, he trapped the ball. Mel Blunt trapped it at the 36. It was intended for Richard Castor, but too tall for the 6'5" receiver.
And that's what was happening to Pastorini in their game against Washington. Overthrowing on a number of his passes. Got him into trouble then and has gotten him into trouble today as well.
34 seconds left for Pittsburgh as Parsley comes in. Jim Smith, who is not to have played today but has returned all the punts, stands in Houston territory.
Well, now you know what it feels like to be standing back there waiting for the snap and knowing that the Steelers are coming, and you better believe they'll try and block this one.
Parsley 1 yard into his own end zone. Gets it away and hits a good one. Smith all the way to his own 38. Hemmed in and run out of bounds at the 37-yard line. Guido Merkins was the first man downfield. Boy, that's a kick under pressure by Parsley.
Parsley averaged over 45 yards a kick last week, and he's done a great job this week. Got to wonder, Dick, if maybe Bum Phillips might consider putting Gifford Nielsen as backup quarterback into this game. Pastorini seems to be not throwing the ball particularly well, and although Pastorini is certainly the #1 quarterback, you may have to consider a change when your offense is sputtering as the Oiler offense is in this first half.
Did you hear Phillips' line about the kicker Parsley? He said, with time, Parsley will become sage. I don't know.
Oh, that's bad.
Bradshaw. Just out of the hands of Swan at the 40-yard line. And it took a fast move by Wilson, 33, to duck in at the last second and get a fingernail on that one.
Is that me, or did that ball seem to hang up there a long time? Give you a chance to watch it at home. Bradshaw back. Again, the confidence he has in his passing game. Throws the ball out. Appeared to hang just long enough for Wilson to have a chance to come back. They didn't have the usual zip on that one, or that one might have been completed. There's the receiver, or the intended receiver. Swanee down and quickly outside. Has to hang and wait. That's not usually the case. That's a pattern that Bradshaw usually hits about the time the receiver is breaking.
17 seconds left. Bradshaw, the other side of the field, intercepted by Reinfeldt at the 45 to 50, 40, and down at the 36 with 5 seconds remaining in this first half. So Bradshaw intercepted for the second time. Reinfeldt has the second interception of this season.
Bradshaw putting a little move on Andy Doris that would have done pride to the old scrambler Tarkenton himself. In fact, he showed little Tarkenton going away from the line and then fires the ball. Again, the ball seems to hang a little bit. Did not get a good step on it. Mike Reinfeldt simply steps in front of it from his safety position, streaks up the sideline, but not a lot of time left on the scoreboard to get some points on the board here. Houston will try probably one quick pass and then hope to go for a field goal.
Wonder if we might see the tail end of that play again. Greg Stemrick, as you may have seen, was covering the receiver with his back to the pass. Some people think that is face guarding. It is not. The only way you get a penalty is if you're waving the hands. Now watch Stemrick, 27. Well, you can't see him as the Reinfeldt came up to make the interception. It was the other angle where Stemrick, covering the receiver, had his back to the play. As long as you're not waving your hands in front. Here it is. That's not a penalty. If he was waving his arms, it would have been.
Looked like he may have been using his hands, which could have been. For a minute, we had the field goal team out, and now it looks like Pastorini is leading the 3 wide receiver team onto the field, as the field goal would have been from about 53 yards, maybe even a little bit more. I think a little bit out of the range of Tony Fritsch.
And you saw right next to Pastorini, number 84, White Shoes Johnson. You got to figure that Johnson's the man who's going to try to work a way to get open deep in that Steelers secondary.
A logical play here is certainly to throw that ball up, get a lot of people downfield, hope for perhaps an interference call or a batted ball, and certainly maybe a chance to get some points on the board from a field goal then.
Probably the last play of the first half. 5 seconds left. They flood the right side. Up for grabs. And Burrow almost picked it off. Well, half the team, both teams are in the end zone. Pastorini just misses, and that's the end of the first half in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers lead the Oilers 10-0.
Roger Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Buy the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull, the special premium brew that's in a class by itself. By America's full-service bankers, ready to serve you where you see this symbol. And by Radio Shack, the nationwide supermarket of sound.
Defending champion Pittsburgh Steelers lead the Houston Oilers 10-0 as we approach the end of the intermission here at Three Rivers Stadium. A sellout crowd, 49,000 fans enjoying a steel-tough Pittsburgh defense shellacking Houston in the first half. We'll be back after these words.
And power. Dodge give.
Houston Oilers and the Steelers are now taking the field at Three Rivers Stadium. It's 10-0 Pittsburgh at the intermission. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. And I imagine it was a most interesting session for both coaches during that halftime?
I'd imagine that certainly the most busy of those coaches was Bum Phillips, trying to figure out what they're going to do in this second half.
Well, what do you think they'll do?
Well, I don't think they're going to abandon their game plan. They need to go back and run the football, do the things that they said they were going to do in the first half and didn't do. Campbell is really the key to their game still. If they can get him out in the second half and establish a running game, then that makes Pastorini's passing, especially the play action passes, more effective. I don't think they're going to panic just being down 10 points. If they were down 14, 17 points, maybe they'd go in and make some drastic changes. I don't think they're going to do that.
At halftime, Earl Campbell officially with only 23 yards rushing. It is interesting to note that all last year, only one back rushed for more than 100 yards against that Pittsburgh defense, and that was John Cappelletti out in Los Angeles. While Campbell had some good games, he did not hit the 100-yard mark. Maybe even though that's what they do best, that's running right into a Pittsburgh strength that you can't overcome.
Well, Pittsburgh effective over the years against the run because of the great linebacking and because of some fine defensive line play. But one thing we have to remember is that the Houston Oilers have made their mark in the last 2 years as a come-from-behind football team. In fact, in most of their victories, they were behind at halftime. They're no stranger to this situation. And only being 10 down, they're probably yawning a little bit down there. They've come back from a lot worse than that.
That old line, the Oilers got the Steelers right where they want them, right? 9 out of 11 times, the last 11 victories for the Oilers, 9 of those came when they were behind at halftime. Good point, Merlin. We'll see if the Oilers have that charm going for them this afternoon. Next week on NBC, Sports World will be seen Saturday at a different time, 3 o'clock, so that we might be able to bring you the 4 o'clock Major League Baseball game of the week, which will feature the Dodgers and Cincinnati and Los Angeles, and the Astros of Houston will be at Candlestick Park to meet the San Francisco Giants. There's your lineup. 4 o'clock Eastern time, 1 o'clock on the West Coast. So Sports World at 3 Eastern time, at 4 o'clock at red hot Western Division pennant race of the National League, now separated by only a half game. Cincinnati in the lead after action yesterday, all on NBC. And stay with us after our action from Pittsburgh. We have 3 games for you in the second half of the doubleheader here on NBC. Most of you will see the Chargers hosting the Oakland Raiders. Remember a year ago that game when the famed
Pastorini on the sideline, I'm sure thinking seriously about what he's going to be trying to do. And again, I'm sure, Dick, that Bum Phillips simply said, look, we played a lousy first half offensively. We did not execute well. Certainly we're going against a good defensive team, but let's go out and take advantage of the things we do well. Let's see if they can continue to play well defensively and get their offense on track.
Tony Frisch kicks it off, and Larry Anderson at the 8-yard line for Pittsburgh. Anderson with a good move, and he shot through to the 34-yard line and acted as though he wanted more before 36. Carter Hartwig, a rookie from University of Southern California, made the tackle. Well, the Steelers take the field. Terry Bradshaw with some excellent completions, twice denied by penalty, and then a couple of passes intercepted in the second quarter. As with him in the backfield, the running tandem of Franco Harris, 32, and Sidney Thornton, 38. Bradshaw not too happy with those statistics, 33% in the first half. Franco across the 35 and into the hold of Art Stringer, number 53 of the Houston Oilers.
Stringer playing well in this ball game, and certainly living up to the expectations, I'm sure, of Eddie Biles, the defensive coach for the Houston Oilers. An important series, this first series defensively. You certainly want to shut Pittsburgh down, and you want to keep them from getting any momentum. Hopefully get that ball in decent field position to start your offense to work.
Second down 8. Fake to Harris. Brazil after Bradshaw, and they've got him. Now there's a case of the new rule, a quicker whistle. Once clearly in the hold and control of the quarterback, the whistle sounded. Andy Doris secured the play after Brazil, shooting in from linebacker, made the initial hit. The second sack for the Oilers, as you can see.
Certainly that kind of rule hurts a quarterback like Terry Bradshaw. Bradshaw is so strong physically, he often pulls out of the grasp of tacklers. You see him get away from one tackler there, and Doris using great hand strength, able to keep a hold of him. But you're absolutely right. The play was called before he ever hit the ground because of the new rule.
Ball just across the 25-yard line, where it is 3rd down and 19 for the Steelers. They lead 10-0. We're just opening the second half at Three Rivers Stadium on a perfect football day. Bradshaw looking for Stallworth. He's open, and Reinfeldt came over to break up the play. Good defense by Mike Reinfeldt, who had one of the 2 interceptions for the Oilers in the first half. Little dismay on the face of JoJo Starbuck. The lovely wife of Terry Bradshaw is visiting with us here in our NBC booth as he pulls for her husband.
Bradshaw back, looks first to his right, gives Stallworth a chance to get open, then fires the ball deep. Just a great defensive play by Mike Reinfeldt, who anticipated the pattern and broke quickly with the receiver, got his hand on it, and knocked it away.
White Shoes Johnson is back to return this kick by Colquitt at the 35. A long line drive, and Johnson at his 27 looking for help. 30. Pinned in, reverses. Lots of exciting running by Johnson, but all back toward his own goal line. Robin Cole, 56, finally corralled him. 48-yard punt and a -7 yards on the return. We'll be back in Pittsburgh. 14 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Well, we're pleased to be here at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Houston Oilers, endeavoring to generate some offense, have the football for the first time in the second half, trailing Pittsburgh 10-0. You see the Oilers running game all but nil in that first half. Campbell fighting for every yard again, gets it out to about the 24 before Mel Blunt. 40, oops, comes up from the corner. Robin Cole, 56, with a little extra push on Tim Wilson, 45.
Tim, of course, doing the blocking honors on that play. The thing that we see happening, the defense for the Steelers, is forcing Campbell to run laterally. And, of course, that's what you want to do to a big back. You want to force him along the line, and then you've got a chance to tackle him when he doesn't have that momentum. When he's coming straight at you, you've got to tackle him with force, and it's very difficult on a back like Campbell.
2nd down, 6. Johnson in motion. Wilson up the middle and down at about the 27-yard line, short of the first down by a couple. Steve Furness from Rhode Island, number 64, made the tackle.
Short yardage troops onto the field for the Oilers, and it looks like we read their intentions pretty carefully, Dick. They have come out and tried to establish the running early. Not going to panic. 10 points is not a big bulge for a team in the NFL. But they did do one thing. They put White Shoes back to try and get the big play on the return, and it backfired a little on them.
3rd and a long 1. Castor in motion. Campbell, first down, and a flag is down as Campbell is dropped at the 32-yard line, and the Steelers are applauding, so apparently against Houston.
Well, it looks like it's going to go against the All-Pro that they recently acquired from New England, Leon Gray, as Banaszak stood up and applauded and said, hey, you can't hold on to me like that. Serious conversation on the sideline. Randy Grossman and, of course, Chuck Knoll talking to Terry Bradshaw.
We have holding, number 74, offense, third down.
Leon Gray, All-Pro tackle from Jackson State, and the NFL world is still a bit puzzled how the Oilers got him for a number 1 and a number 6.
He's still puzzled. I asked him about it. He doesn't know why.
Dwayne Woodruff, 5th defensive back in for the Steelers on 3rd down. Pastorini down at the 4-yard line. The Steelers had one of those stunts on. Banaszak made the hit.
Pastorini may be hurt, Dick, as he's on the turf. Very slow getting up. What a tremendous rush these Steelers have put on today. Pastorini taking a little extra time, and very sorry that he did, as he's just mowed under by that black-shirted rush.
I said at halftime the defense shellacked the Oilers. I meant to say shackled them, but I believe Pastorini would agree with the initial comment.
I think shellac. Again, Banaszak coming inside as the tackle goes outside Furness, and they've got 3. We used to call it a jailbreak. You put that many people on top of the quarterback.
That's a great term. Jailbreak, huh? Now, all four get home free. That's when a stunt has really worked. Pastorini, you can see the back. He wears that back brace as well as the flak jacket on the ribs. That's a carryover from late last year. And Dan, not 100%, obviously. And now Parsley asked to hit another long one, and he's done a good job when in trouble. Smith at the 41 of Houston. Good snap by Carter. And another good kick. Smith drifting to his own 49. Runs into his own blocker, and he's down at the 45-yard line. Tackle made by Carter Hartwig of Houston. Jack Lambert can't wait to get back in there. Timeout in Pittsburgh. 11.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Defense takes its breather. The offense on the field. Terry Bradshaw and the Steelers leading Houston 10-0. Bradshaw is 6 of 19. 2 intercepted in this one. Both sides playing outstanding defense. Bradshaw to throw. Lynn Swan at the 30. Well, how he gives. He's like an outstanding boxer, anticipating the punch. How he absorbs the blow. He's always moving away from contact.
Hard to get a good shot at him. And again, the great communication, unspoken communication between quarterback and receiver as Swan finds the opening and then Bradshaw delivers the football. Great spin.
There's JoJo Starbuck, the famed wife of Terry Bradshaw, the outstanding figure skater. Let's see how she liked this one.
Oh, yes.
JoJo introduced me to John Cole. Said, I want you to be nice to him because he's very nice to my husband. He blocks for him so those other people don't hurt him. By the way, you're going to be able to see JoJo and some of our outstanding U.S. Olympic prospects in a special star skate from the Los Angeles Sports Arena. That's going to be the Saturday of Thanksgiving. I know that's way off, but it's a show that you'll not want to miss. And Thanksgiving time, think about us on NBC, on Sports World, and a special figure skating show. 2nd and 5. Harris on the quick toss. Read well by the Oiler defense. J.C. Wilson getting over there in a hurry. And that's what we talked about early. Bum Phillips likes the aggressiveness of his 2 new men in the deep secondary, Wilson and Brennan Perry.
Steelers have been attacking heavily up inside, and on that particular play tried to get wide. Harris not quite as quick as he was in his early days, but getting out there, and had it not been for the fine force of J.C. Wilson, would have had some yardage.
Leon Gray, far side, a score. Green Bay has connected on a Barty Smith run of a yard. 12-7 New Orleans leads in the third quarter. Baltimore jumps out early. Still 4 minutes left in the first quarter. Colts lead 17-0. Greg Hawthorne, the #1 draft pick in the lineup for the first time for Pittsburgh, and he's the man there. First down. The first time Hawthorne has touched the football in the NFL. He gets the first down, and look at that physical specimen. He's 6'2½", 225. A first-round pick out of Baylor. They liken him to Calvin Hill.
Fine pattern, and absolutely no one on him. Gets off and breaks it down the sideline and gets a little bit of extra yardage. Finally, Ted Washington, number 59, and Art Stringer, 53, put him out of bounds. But Terry able to get the ball to him quickly and apparently anticipated the coverage very easily.
The Bears have moved in front after falling behind 7-0. Bears 19 unanswered points. They lead in the third quarter. Bradshaw going to throw for it. Has Thornton. Same play that worked against New England. Bradshaw to Thornton. Well, Thornton scored both touchdowns against the Patriots. He scored both Steeler touchdowns today against Houston.
When the running game is going, you can fake the play action, freeze the linebackers, give yourself a little extra time. And Thornton, in this case, breaking open down the middle, found some extra room Fine pass by Bradshaw. Good catch. 6 points. They'll go for 7.
Matt Barr's try for point. Splits them. And with a timeout in Pittsburgh, exactly 10 minutes remaining in the third quarter, the Steelers have built their lead. Pittsburgh 17, Houston nothing. It took Bradshaw just a minute 38 seconds to get 7 more. 5 plays, 45 yards. He hits Thornton 16 yards. Same play that was successful against the Patriots Monday night. Matt Barr's kick is short. Taken by the up-back Tim Wilson at the 18, the 20. And Wilson from the University of Maryland gets it to the 30, maybe the 31-yard line.
Kickoffs really are a function of kickoff coverage, a function of hang time and acceleration by the on-rushing defenders. And although Barr does not kick that ball deep, hangs it very, very high, gives people time to get downfield, and he won't have that many returns.
The Oilers, and for them, this is good field position at the 31. Pastorini, battered quarterback, but the veteran from Santa Clara still in there. Both wide receivers to the left, Burrow and Johnson. Johnson in the slot. Fake to Campbell inside. Under pressure again. Tried to hit Campbell, but the black jerseys were closer to the ball. Cole and Lambert.
Play action passing really not very effective when a defense knows that you have to throw the ball. And now with 17 points on the board, a lot of pressure on the offense for Houston. I'm not so sure that that was a wise call under those conditions.
Well, Chuck Knox's Buffaloes are back in front in the third quarter, 17-10. Roland Hook scoring on a 3-yard run. Buffalo leads Cincinnati. Bills looking for their first win. Cincinnati the same. Pastorini down the middle, intercepted by Wagner. 35-30, and the veteran Mike Wagner gives the Steelers the ball at the 28-yard line. Ed Fisher finally stopped him, and for Wagner, his 27th career interception.
Well, if you had to wonder why these Pittsburgh Steelers are the only team to win 3 Super Bowls, it's because of plays like this. Tremendous pressure on Pastorini. Has to unload before he gets decked there by Joe Green. Wagner reads the play beautifully, steps right in front of the receiver, and then breaks hard down the sideline. Mel Blount chugging double O as he comes off the line, and right there, that's just picture-perfect defensive play by Mike Wagner.
Back to live action. Bradshaw throwing on first down for Stallworth, and almost intercepted. Good coverage by Greg Stemrick, one-on-one against John Stallworth in the end zone.
Stallworth talking down there to the officials. There was some bumping going on, but an equal contest of bumping, both offensive and defensively. Bradshaw unloading the ball. Has time to get it off. Watching the corner of your screen right there. Both offensive man and defensive man fighting for position. Stemrick got the best position. Stallworth acting as a defender then, trying to strip the ball.
Here it is again. And Stemrick just denied the interception in the end zone. So the Steelers still alive, 2nd and 10 at their own 28-yard line. At the Houston 28. Blitz on, and Harris right through that blitz to the 25-yard line. Gain of 3. It's 3rd and 7 for Pittsburgh. Steelers leading 17-0. We have 9 minutes 15 seconds left in the third quarter, and as Franco Harris goes back to the huddle, Merlin, a good time perhaps to point out once again how unique this Pittsburgh football team is. 45 players, not one of them has played it down with another NFL team.
I think one of the things that makes that special is that Chuck Noll and his staff can ask things of this team offensively and defensively that other coaches might be afraid to ask. Who are they going to compare things with? Say they don't do it this way in Washington or St. Louis or San Diego? They just don't know.
There wasn't anyone near that Bradshaw pass as he unloaded it, but did not draw a flag, as 54 Greg Bingham had a beat on Bradshaw.
We'll see about the field goal kicking. Barr goes onto the field. No, Colquitt. They've got Colquitt out there rather than Barr.
They're going to punt, and Drogan is hit another touchdown pass. He has 5 today, and that is very much like the game we had last year in New England when they smothered the Jets. The Jets came back to have their own taste of victory, but it's all New England again today. A 42-yarder by Barr is no good. Just missed to the left. So Barr, who connected on a 45-yard attempt in the first half, denied on that long try.
We saw Colquitt out there and thought for a second it was a punt, but Colquitt, of course, is the holder for Barr on the field goal team. Did a good job of getting that down, and Barr had plenty of range on that one. Nick, just for a second, let's talk about the unique nature of this Pittsburgh team. One of the other things that makes them special is the kind of talent that they have and the apprentice system that they use here. Bring young men in, and they don't get a chance to play for a while. They have to earn the right to get in there. And once they do, they'll get some playing time, and that's certainly proved very valuable as they've had people go down to injuries here in this game.
Pastorini on first down, trailing 17-0. Almost intercepted by Jack Ham, the omnipresent linebacker who leads all active NFL linebackers with 26 interceptions. The flag is down.
It's like a holding penalty on the offensive line. And that's what happens when you have to buy some time for a quarterback.
And meanwhile, he has such great temperament. And yesterday he was the last one to leave the stadium looking at films of the Oilers. Quite a student of the game.
We have holding, number 60, offense.
Ed Fisher tagged with a call as he's trying to work head-to-head with Joe Green. Not an enviable assignment. Even though he's aged a bit, Mean Joe can still get after you pretty good.
Pastorini in the hole again inside his 15-yard line. First and 20. Going long for White Shoes Johnson, but Mel Blunt had him boxed in along the sidelines. Later today, NBC presents the second half of our doubleheader. Oakland at San Diego. Miami Dolphins still the only team that has gone throughout this entire young 79 season, preseason and regular season, without a loss, hosting the Seahawks of Seattle. The Browns, with their dramatic overtime win at New York, take on a Kansas City team, and the Chiefs threw a big 0 at Baltimore last week, and they've been working on the defense out there in Kansas City, and we'll see how the Browns are able to challenge the Chiefs. That's all following this action from Pittsburgh on NBC. Second and 20 for Pastorini. In trouble. Green can't get him. Taves blocks it. Intercepted by Banaszak. Taves deflected it, and John Banaszak from Eastern Michigan, a free agent in '75, has one of those glorious moments for a lineman.
Every lineman dreams about his opportunity to snag that football. On that particular occasion, Pastorini has not yet gotten up from the field as he was tagged pretty good on that play. Banaszak alertly around the ball. You see Bum Phillips is concerned for his quarterback. Obviously not just worried about what is happening in this game, but certainly terribly concerned about a man who had led them into the playoffs last year, Dan Pastorini.
And as he threw that ball, Taves got a piece of the hand and arm. Gifford Nielsen, the backup quarterback, the young man from BYU, now warming up. And at this point, you have injury or not, you almost feel that Pastorini, who is hardly nimble with all his various injuries, might be coming out for a change to Nielsen. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is Channel 11, WIIC TV, Pittsburgh.
Let's see if we can discern what happened to Pastorini as he had that ball deflected by Lauren Taves and intercepted by Banaszak. Steelers Bradshaw out on the field commiserating with Pastorini and his teammates. They all have great respect for an outstanding athlete, and no one in this game relishes this situation where they see a fallen foe.
Watch Pastorini as he scrambles away from Joe Green. Taves running stride for stride with him. Pastorini off balance here as he steps back, tries to unload that football. Taves going for the football, catches him as his shoulder rolls away. Looks like he may possibly have done something to his shoulder. What a terrible position to put yourself in, with your body rolling one way and your arm going the other. Let's hope that there's not a serious problem with Pastorini's throwing arm.
Well, that's an unusual picture. In the middle of a game, a man is injured, and Mike Barber and Terry Bradshaw going over the hitters.
While we have a second, Dick, we gave you a good look at Leon Gray earlier and talked about the trade, the shocking trade that brought him to Houston from New England. Had a chance to ask him this morning if he had any inkling that was going to happen. And of course, that's one of the facts of life that professional athletes have to deal with, that they can be traded on the whim or the decision of a general manager, an owner. He said no. He said, in fact, we talk about the highs and lows of the game. He said, I'd left training camp and gone home. My wife had gone into labor, and we had a baby born to us at 6:30 in the morning. And he said, I called the coach, Ron Earhart, just on top of the world, and said, Coach, I got great news for you. We just had our baby, and things are going well. And the coach said, I've got news for you, too, and told him at that point that he'd been traded to the Houston Oilers. And he said it took a while to soak in, but still doesn't know why. But that's putting them right together, isn't it?
That's really riding the emotional elevator from the penthouse right down to the basement. Now, Pastorini, the applause from the people across the way indicating that certainly is conscious, but obviously in considerable pain, and they're going to cart Pastorini back into the clubhouse. Well, he has so many injuries, and the way he's holding that side could either be the shoulder or the ribs, and obviously is through for this day, and hopefully
let's hope it is not a serious problem. I'm sure that they're not taking any chances, and we'll try and get you some news on his condition as soon as we can. They say it is his right shoulder, and as you got a chance to look at it here, watch him now as he rotates away to deliver the ball, and then turns his body back on the delivery, but can't bring the arm back because it's pinned right there. As Taves goes after the ball, his shoulder follows through, but can't bring the arm with it.
Meanwhile, Greg Hawthorne on his first rush as a pro has scored from 9 yards out. Well, Greg Hawthorne, the #1 pick from Baylor, off his own left side.
We're very excited about the potential of this young man, and he gives you no reason to challenge that as he goes easily into the end zone. Excellent blocking. Looked like he was going half speed and just trotted right in for the 6 points.
Well, you can imagine the emotional letdown of the Oilers after seeing their quarterback carried off the field, and the Steelers immediately punch in the touchdown, tack on the extra point, and we have a timeout. 8 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the third quarter at Three River Stadium, where the Steelers have opened a 24-0 lead.
What's up, Dan?
Pittsburgh leads Houston 24-0 midway through the third quarter at Three River Stadium. Barr to kick it off to Coleman and Merkins of the Houston Oilers. Ball at the 11. Ronnie Coleman at the 20, at the 30, and down at the 34-yard line. First down, Houston, and a new quarterback for the Oilers, Gifford Nielsen. St. Louis falling behind 14-0 early. The Cardinals now taking the lead in the third quarter, 21-14. And Buffalo gets a touchdown. Lucius Sanford's interception return of 23 yards, and they now lead Cincinnati 24-10. And the Redskins have a 24-10 lead at Detroit, third period. 24 seems to be the number today. It's 24-0 here in Pittsburgh as Earl Campbell, number 34, dropped at the 34. Robin Cole made the tackle. Flag is down.
Tremendously aggressive play by the Pittsburgh defense. Dick, while we have a second, many of you at home saw the apparently relaxed and unconcerned attitude of the players as Pastorini was laying on the field. That's a little bit deceptive. One of the things that professional football players must do is to keep themselves emotionally involved in the game. When one of their comrades goes down on the field, the instinct of the player is to go over and lend all of your support and all of your concern. But at the same time, you've got to separate that from the game. And if you can't do that, you're going to be in trouble. Now, that's what you saw. They they were hurting with him. They could not allow themselves to get involved.
Campbell, who's had a rough day, that's his 12th rush, and he now has 31 yards unofficially. Steve Furness made the stop for Pittsburgh, and it's now 3rd down and about 6. Another score from Green Bay. New Orleans had the lead 12-0, and now it's all Green Bay, 21-12. Steve Atkins has just scored for the Packers. Baltimore leads Tampa Bay 17-6 before the half. Gilbert Nielsen at the controls. 3rd down and 6. Incomplete and almost trickled back to Mike Wagner. It was intended for Mike Barber. We might, as the fans cheer the defense of the Steelers once again, I want to go back and underline what you've just talked about, Merlin, about the attitude of players. Basically, what you're saying is there's obvious concern on both sides for any injured player, but to labor on that emotionally is just not part of the game. You have to have something that blocks it all off and says, hey, it doesn't happen to me, it does happen in the game, and I've got to go ahead and play the best I can. Yard punt for Parsley. Steelers have the ball again with a 24-0 lead.
I would say that Parsley has had about the only plays the Oilers can be proud of today. Certainly a disastrous day for them. Although even in their pressure, they have still played well defensively, except for that quick letdown after the injury to Pastorini. Coming up later today, Oakland at San Diego. Real shootout in San Diego. Seattle at Miami. Shula, of course, got his troops going well.
Cleveland, Kansas City. That's the second half of our doubleheader here on NBC. Bradshaw in a scramble. Andy Doris hauls him down at the 18-yard line. So Doris, now the Oilers, logs the 3rd Houston sack of the afternoon. He's from New Mexico State. Works in New Orleans, where he once played with the Saints. He works in the police department there. Did a little handcuff job on Bradshaw on the sidelines.
Bulked himself up, about 15 pounds heavier than he was last year, playing some excellent football.
There's another, I just thought of another reason why Barber and Bradshaw might have been attracted to one another. They do have a common denominator. They both went to Louisiana Tech, so they might have been checking out how things down at the Alma Mater. Pretty good football institution. Franco Harris to the 20, short gain. In fact, Barber was telling me, and you think of this as an NCAA Division II team, Merlin. On the same team with Mike Barber, their wide receivers were Roger Carr and Pat Tilley, and Roland Harper was in the backfield, and they had Fred Dean as a defensive lineman. That's a pretty good football team right there. You can put a few chemistry majors in there and win the championship.
Not a bad combination to draw to.
Big numbers on some mighty big backs. Dwight White was not played today. Joe Green. 3rd down, 15. Up the middle, Harris, but short of the first down at the 29-yard line. Tripped up by Willie Alexander, 5th defensive back for the Oilers.
Bradshaw trying to cross up the Oiler defense. An obvious passing situation. Goes to the draw play to Franco Harris. Good call. Harris pops open, but good reaction also by the secondary as they come back up and get a hook on him before he can pick up the first down. Colquitt will have to kick it away, and they put White Shoes Johnson hoping for the big play, hoping for the big return.
Johnson will take it at his 31. 34, and the Steelers just continue to do everything well. The complete game play of the Steelers is awesome, and they're playing an excellent football club. Yep, amazing. Next Saturday on Sports World, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, to be followed by Major League Baseball. We have from Irving, Texas, the home of the Cowboys. It'll be bowling. Present great and the past greats of that fine game, followed by a world record high dive attempt. Doug Jones, I don't know how it is, but they say that that's just a crazy height that he's going to try to hit. I just get on that low board and go in feet first, and my kids applaud. That'll be next Saturday on Sports World. Redskins find it tighter at Detroit, where the Lions have scored. Rick Kane on a 13-yard run for Detroit. They have 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Each team looking for its initial win of this new season. Both wide receivers to the left for Gifford Nielsen. Earl Campbell, nothing inside, nothing outside except Steelers. Furness and Cole teamed up on the tackle.
Again, the thing you'd like to do to a big back, you want to turn him sideways. If you can force him to run toward the sideline, he loses his power. And you saw it right there as Cole was able to tackle him. It's going to be third and short. And obviously, the Houston Oilers, if they're going to get anything going, have got to get some points on the board. They got to make things happen. Playing catch-up football is not a pleasant thing to do.
Buffalo builds its lead to 2 touchdowns. Roland Hooks on a 32-yard run for the Bills. Nielsen. Misfire is intended for Rob Carpenter out at midfield. Check that. Mike Barber was the intended target. 86. Nielsen trying to thread that throw through Steeler arms, and Pittsburgh will get the ball back.
I wonder if anyone has done an astrological forecast on the Oilers for today, Dick. They must have some very bad stars going for them.
Well, things are tougher elsewhere. The Jets have 3. The Patriots have 49. Now Tom Owen is in at quarterback for New England after Grogan threw for 5 touchdowns, and Owen has passed 14 yards for a score, 49-3.
There was some question as to whether New England could bounce back after playing such an emotional game against these Steelers and losing last week. They've certainly proved that they can.
That's a good football team up in New England. Bum Phillips has not enjoyed his last couple of trips here to Pittsburgh after he beat the Steelers, their only home loss last year early in the year, when Houston came to town and beat Pittsburgh 24-17. Then they had that rough match in the Astrodome, Pittsburgh winning 13-3, and then the disaster in the playoffs when, for the AFC Championship, the Pittsburgh Steelers seemed to enjoy the icy home field and won going away 34-5.
They're x-raying Pastorini's shoulder and arm to see what damage was done on that interception. But we'll try and get word to you as soon as we can find out what's happening. That just adds additional worry to Bum Phillips as he is observed there on the left. The one amazing thing about that man, he's so open and so straightforward, though. He can take a loss. There are some coaches that can't handle a game like this. Bum Phillips is one that can.
Maybe his personality may be best suited. 4th down, they're going to go for it. 4th and 1. Castor in motion. Campbell right into the line. I don't think he made it. That just tacks on another star on that Steeler defense. Houston needed 1. They sent the game's best back in 1978. The top rusher in the NFL up the middle. Doesn't look like he made it.
Well, let's give him a chance to unload in there. He didn't look like he had it at first, but I think he surged toward the end. He's amazing. He fell down last week and got up and made 6-7 yards. So let's not write him off yet.
No, Merlin, I think you're right. Where they spot the ball is now where it appeared he went down. He must have been able to do a little nosedive and squirm under that defense because the ball is spotted almost to midfield, and I think he does have the first down. Yes.
Well, that's a calculated risk. Certainly, again, talking about playing catch-up football, you have to do some things you don't want to do. You turn over the ball at midfield, you give them another shot at you. But when you're down this far, you have no choice.
What testimony to the Pittsburgh defense. Only the 3rd first down of the game for Houston, the first of the second half, and they had to go to 4th down to get it at midfield. Nielsen to Barber, broken up neatly by Mike. Oops, penalty flag down against Wagner. He doesn't believe it. There's the confrontation between Barber and Wagner, and they seem to be in good spirits about one another, despite all we've read and heard about the rematch and revenge and all. In fact, before the game today, they came out and it was one of the nice things to see. They talked to each other, they shook hands, and even there didn't seem to be any ill feelings.
Well, and Mike Wagner walks away shaking his head. And Barber got a little smile there. A very close call, a call that could have gone either way. You can see it for yourself. Gifford Nielsen back, delivers the ball high. Wagner has good position. Watch him now and see if the contact is early. Wagner going up for the ball. Pretty close. Pretty close.
It did look like a good defensive play. Ooh, what a hit by Lambert on Tim Wilson, who tried the middle and gained 1. Let's just run down all the scores for you. New England in the fourth quarter leading the Jets 49-3. St. Louis 21, Giants 14, third quarter. Bears 19, Minnesota 7 in the third quarter. Buffalo leads Cincinnati 31-17 in the final period. Washington over Detroit 24-17 in the fourth quarter. Green Bay leading New Orleans 14-12. Our last report, Baltimore 17-6 Tampa Bay in the second quarter. The Green Bay score in the third quarter. We're up to date on all the scores here. 24-0 Pittsburgh. Nielsen, a bullet complete to Billy Johnson, who speared it at the 28-yard line. Well, that Johnson something. Every time that Billy Johnson has touched the football in his NFL career, he has gained an average of 16.1 yards. Now that's a big money player.
It's no wonder that Bum Phillips wants to get the ball to him as often as possible. You see Billy stopping off over there to talk to an official about probably some bumping going on down the field. Gifford Nielsen doing a good job delivering that ball. Does not have the power of a Pastorini in his arm or the power of a Bradshaw, but is a very accurate passer.
3rd and 2, and it figures to be Campbell. It is. Able to cut back inside the wide defensive coverage, close to the first down.
Many people feel that Jack Ham is probably the premier outside linebacker. We have had a chance to look at the other linebacker who has gotten a lot of respect around the league, Robin Cole. Watch him right here. He goes outside, gets in front of Conway Heyman, number 70, steps back in, gets a little piece of Earl Campbell, but Campbell, picking his hole well, has got them into a 4th and 1 situation.
All at the 27-yard line. Balk leads his team out of the huddle. Chuck Noll Steelers have shut out the Oilers thus far, 24-0. 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Whistle, that's no play. They whistled it dead before the snap.
Quite possibly too much time, yes.
Well, the new quarterback in there, Nielsen, and may have extended that 30-second allowance between plays.
It's been a day when nothing seems to go right for the Houston Oilers.
Ball start, offense, 4th down.
We got a false start. There it is on the right side. You see Fisher lift his hand before the snap. Of course, the automatic penalty of 5 yards. Still have to go for it. Down this far, you have no choice. And again, playing catch-up football is dangerous business.
4th and 6 for Nielsen. Going deep and intercepted out of bounds. Ron Johnson, but a flag is down, and we may have a defensive hold against the Steelers. Johnson actually on 4th down should have just batted that one down. They would have gotten it at the line of scrimmage, but I don't think it's going to count anyway. The flag could be against the Steelers.
Well, it appears to be that way, as some of the Steeler DBs wandering back, a little upset apparently by the call. But that's the kind of play you have to make if you're going to get some points on the board. Many people here will be unhappy with the call, but a good call by the officials.
Five yards on the defensive hold against Pittsburgh and the automatic first down. So the Oilers, and this has been helped by penalty, their longest drive of the game. Less than 2 minutes left in the third quarter, 24-0 Pittsburgh. Now they're trying to see whether it was defensive holding, in other words, a hold before the throw, or interference. Now they're bringing it back the other way. Yes, 5 yards for defensive holding. Matter of when the ball was throwing and when the foul occurred.
We have illegal contact. First down.
Had the ball been in the air, same contact, interference.
Again, the use of the double check rule. Each defensive back or linebacker allowed only one hit on a receiver. If they take a second hit on him, an automatic 5-yard penalty and a first down.
Ball at the 27 of the Steelers. Burrow, who's not caught a pass to the right. Barber anchors the left side of the line. Rob Carpenter, Jack Lambert, along with Jack Ham and Donnie Shell, 3 All-Pros in that Steeler defense to team up on Carpenter, who played his college ball at Miami of Ohio. And with a name like Carpenter, give you 3 guesses to what his hobby is, Merlin.
I don't know.
Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Carpentry, that's right. Very good.
Well, and looking at that picture of Jack Lambert, you can't help but wonder if maybe he had not to work, go to dental school.
That Lambert, I think he has a
mean-looking man.
A hammer and a saw going for him. Blitz. And Nielsen read it well, and that's going to be a flag against the Steelers. Billy Johnson, the intended target. And I think what Pittsburgh's complaining about there is once the ball hits the hand of the receiver, then you can hit him. Let's see if there was contact before the ball arrived.
Donnie Shell, a very aggressive player, proving that. But the Oilers being helped here briefly by some calls and by some very aggressive play on the part of the Steelers. I think they're the most physical team. In fact, without question, the most physical team in football. And that's one of the reasons for their great success. We just got word from the locker room that the x-rays for Pastorini have indicated a jammed shoulder, jammed arm, but no breaks. And certainly for Houston fans holding their breath, good news, and certainly for his teammates, excellent news.
Gifford Nielsen at the controls, held by penalties on this drive, gives to Campbell, and he's down to about the 13-yard line. Let's repeat that news. Dan Pastorini, taken off the field on a stretcher in this 3rd quarter, has no fractures to report on Pastorini. 2nd down 8. Carpenter. That's Gary Dunn.
Gary Dunn, the hero of last week's game with 3 sacks against New England. And just looking across that defensive line, none of the original steel curtain in there. Dwight White is out of there. Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood. Ernie Holmes, of course, long gone.
That was Beasley, 65. Dunn, 67, made the play, and that's the end of the 3rd quarter at Three River Stadium, where the sellout crowd enjoying the home team advantage.
Off the beat, but against the Steeler, I can't compete.
When a Steeler gets hit, it's got the guts to bounce back.
You turkey.
Uniroyal presents the Steeler Radial.
The race for the 1980.
We'll give you that address again in just a moment. Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. The Steelers 24. Houston Oilers nothing. Houston with its deepest penetration of this game. 3rd down and 9 inside the Pittsburgh 15-yard line. Nielsen under the blitz, and he can't hit Ken Burrow, who complains that Blunt was holding him. That's that long-standing matchup. Blunt and Burrow, and Blunt getting the better of things today, has not allowed a catch by 0-0. Ken Burrow of the Oilers.
There's the emotional leader of this Pittsburgh team. I'll tell you, he's a mean-looking man. Amazing to me, Dick. You look down the lineup of that defensive team in there now, and the whole front 4 is switched over from the steel curtain that we knew. They got Beasley and Dunn and Banaszak in there. Furness in there. Names that got an offside on the Oilers, it looks like. I think the real key to the successful domination of the playoffs in the last few years by the Steelers have been several things. They have quality players and incredible depth. They certainly are able to generate outstanding coaching. Chuck Noll, a brilliant strategist, has got a good coaching staff, and they have a top-notch organization here. They've been able to draft well, and it would appear from the depth of this team that they're going to be safe for a long time to come.
5 yards against the Oilers. It's 4th down and 15. Nielsen trying to get on the board. Away from Beasley. Into the end zone. Intercepted. Wagner has another. Mike Wagner. That'll be a touchback for Pittsburgh. They'll take it out to the 20. So the Oilers' longest drive of the game denied as we open this 4th quarter. Mike Wagner, the heady free safety of the Steelers, always around that ball. And we have a timeout early in the 4th quarter in Pittsburgh, where the Steelers still lead 24-0. Now Mike Wagner, excellent athlete at Western Illinois, So many great Olympic athletes, and as you see Nielsen being picked off, I want to give you that Olympic address again. U.S. Olympics, Post Office Box 1980 N, Cathedral Station, Boston, Mass. 02118. A fumble, and Bradshaw again on the loose ball, and it's been an incredible statistic today. We've had 6 or 7 fumbles, all recovered by the fumbling team. Earl Campbell has certainly had many better days than this one.
I doubt if he's ever had a day, and I don't think this would be a problem to check out. I doubt if he's ever had a day this bad in the pros, except for the game against Houston, in which he was hurt and had to leave in the first quarter.
24-0 Steelers. 2nd and 11, Pittsburgh. Harris and Thornton behind Bradshaw. No, it's Rocky Blyer into the game, and he drives out to the 24-yard line before pushed back by the Oiler defense. Blyer from Notre Dame, number 5 Steeler rusher all time. Smith and Stallworth are now the wide receivers. Lynn Swan given a breather, but Bradshaw still in at quarterback. I know Mike Kruzik is a bit frustrated. The backup quarterback for the Steelers was such an outstanding player in front of him, and even in a game like this, he doesn't get much action.
How about the number 3 quarterback, Cliff Stout? Been there a number of years, never had a single play in the regular season. I mean, if you want to be frustrated, try that one.
That's for sure. Bradshaw behind the intended target, Franco Harris, and Art Stringer, the closest Oiler. Now, David Stearns, Ted Nathanson, our producer and director, they've had cameras at all angles. Where they got this one, Merlin?
Well, they got this one tucked away behind the offense. As you watch Bradshaw drop back, get a look at the pressure being applied by the defensive lineman. Excellent coverage. There it is right there, thrown low and away. Franco Harris had no chance. Stringer was upset. He thought he had a chance.
10-man rush and a big kick by Colquitt to Billy Whiteshoes. He makes just an excellent catch, then stays in bounds. 25-30 and wrestled at the 31. And Johnson getting his leg pinned in underneath his body, and let's hope that he wasn't hurt. That was an awkward tackle as Johnson went down, and he has not gotten up yet. Oh my. 13.5 minutes remaining in the game. Pittsburgh leading 24-0. 34, Whiteshoes Johnson injured on a fairly innocent tackle.
You get an idea right there. Looked like his legs were twisted as the tacklers and blockers alike rolled over the top of him. He's still on the turf. Large number of players there clustered around him, several doctors and trainers. And what a disastrous afternoon it has been for the Houston Oilers. Not only disastrous on the scoreboard, but Pastorini carried off in a stretcher into the locker room. And now Whiteshoes Johnson obviously dragging that right leg as he heads off the field, and not the kind of player you can afford to lose and still hope to be effective in your season, and that is not a good sign as he leaves the field. What a sad day, Dick.
It's a tough emotional pill for the fans of the Oilers to swallow today, as you see the other scores, updates from around the country, and it's rather obvious today we are consciously trying to keep you right on the spot. All the other games in the National Football League, you've seen the scores almost as quickly as they put them on the scoreboards in the various NFL stadia. Here, Bum Phillips looking for that first one to go up on his side as Pittsburgh leads 24-0, and the casualty list is mounting for A.O. Phillips.
I believe that's the same knee that Billy Whiteshoes Johnson hurt last year and missed almost the entire season. So that might have been the look of almost.
Now there's the frustration. There comes the frustration of the Oilers after the tackle of Tim Wilson. One of the Oilers appeared to be Rob Carpenter went after a Steeler defender, and a punch was thrown. It appeared that it was after Mike Wagner that Carpenter was addressing his anger, and he is out of the game. We'll see whether or not any Steelers ejected.
And you quickly see the defensive coaches and Bum Phillips and the rest of the team say, hey, cool it, we don't need this. Let's show a little class out there, but frustration is bound to bubble. The Steelers came in here, the Oilers, came in here expecting to play good football. And they have played tough against the Steelers, perhaps tougher than any other team. Rob Carpenter coming in from the backside, stacking up a little bit on top of play. That's number 29, Ron Johnson, who wondered where that extra shot came from, I think.
Nielsen hits Renfro. Oh, that's got to be a penalty. Renfro hit by 53, Dennis Winston, and he almost tore his head off, and I don't see a flag down. I thought there was a penalty when you hit a man in the helmet with any part of the arms or body, and that was a high hit. I'd like to see that one again. I thought that was a penalty.
Well, Renfro has not caught a pass in the preseason or until now. Is recuperating from knee injury. Takes this pass comfortably. Feels good about it. And all of a sudden just is ambushed right there. That's Dirt Winston, and he just about did take his head right off. Got sandwiched at the same time by Lambert coming in underneath. Or not Lambert, but Cole, number 56. Ball exploded out of there. Donnie Shell, 31, picking it up for the Steelers, who now have the ball.
If that's not a penalty, the officials are really asking for trouble. Hawthorne bobbled the snap because the other side sees that, and there's liable to be retaliation. And this is the kind of game that it shows signs of flaring out of control. Let's see that hit again at full speed. See it at full speed. See what you think. Boom. Ooh. You don't go after the head. That's one of the new rules they put in this year, that to protect the man with the ball, you tackle him, you have to hit him in the body surface, not in the head or helmet. You don't attack the man with the ball at the head. Terry Bradshaw, his team in front 24-0 despite a off day in terms of his accuracy. Oops, almost picked off by Stensrud. There's a flag. Jim Smith, the intended target. It appeared that Wilson hit him before the ball arrived. Oh, they're building up to a rematch already, aren't they?
Just like heating dynamite on the stove down there. You watch Bradshaw, he gets away here. That's Stensrud knocking the ball loose. Bradshaw picks it up, and he is decked as he unloads that football. But the lateness of the throw and the extra shot right there by Brazil, there are a couple of possible penalties. Not only the hit over the top before the ball arrives, but watch Brazil right here coming in from the backside.
Boom. Ooh. Did that hit occur before the ball arrived? From that angle, it looked like it was pretty close. It was against Wilson for interference at the 38-yard line. Bradshaw to Hawthorne. And the play was made defensively in such a manner that I believe Brazil shielded the view from Hawthorne, number 27, the rookie. He may not have seen the ball as it cleared the defensive linebacker.
There's a young man who spends most of his time without the headgear and wearing a communication set, talking to the coaches upstairs, relaying suggestions, possibilities, some plays out to Terry Bradshaw.
You know who Alan Clark is, Merlin?
Oh, yeah.
Alan Clark
did a great job of returning some kicks last week.
Well, he just scored for New England, and they now have a 56-3 lead.
Oh, boy. Coach Walt Michaels is probably wishing he'd stayed in bed today.
Hawthorne.
Ooh.
And things are heated, to say the least. (24-0). Pittsburgh leads the Oilers. 11:34 remaining. Might be some questions, Merlin, when you have a valuable property like Terry Bradshaw, why you don't give a Krusek or a Stout a chance to play with 11.5 minutes left and things getting a little rough out there.
Well, I'm sure that Krusek is thinking the same thing, and maybe even Terry Bradshaw is thinking the same thing. But it's hard to second guess a coach that has 3 Super Bowl trophies in his trophy case and has put a team like this on the field.
Well, you know, if you'd ask Bradshaw, he'd never like to come out there. He loves to play the game. At the 25-yard line, Lynn Swan makes the catch, tackled by J.C. Wilson. First down, Pittsburgh.
You said that Bradshaw likes to play. He especially likes to play when things are going well for his Steelers. And right now, he's got it on track. Nice play as he flips it high to Swan. And again, the great athletic ability of that receiver is obvious as he goes up to pull a pass that is a little bit high. Swanee doesn't worry about it. He just goes up, picks it up, and in spite of the hit from the backside, just brings it on down.
Swan leads the receivers of the Steelers with those 4. Hawthorne in motion on first down, Bradshaw. Gets Swan over the middle, and down goes Swan. I believe they'll allow progress to about the 14-yard line. And Bradshaw took a good hit from
Ted Washington.
Ted Washington, right, 59 from behind as he unloaded.
Yeah, linebacker on the blitz, and certainly, what can you do? What can you do? You get in, you get the blitz on him, you try and put the pressure on him. You see him right here. Watch Washington come from the right side of your picture. He'll get clean, come around from the backside. But even then, Bradshaw unloads, gets it away, pays a little bit for the toss. But there's Lynn Swan coming back to the ball, breaking beautifully. It's going to be second, very, very short.
Just short of the first down at the 14 of the Oilers as Swan had to come back to make the catch. Whoops, blown signal, and Bradshaw pays for it. A loss back to the 18 or 19-yard line. Jesse Baker, number 75, a rookie, second-round pick from Jacksonville State. He said, my biggest problem as a pro is all those people watching. The biggest college crowd was around 7,000 plus back in Florida.
Can't help but wonder if possibly there wasn't a blown play as Bradshaw turned around and everybody else was going the other way.
49,792, 49792. Another Steelers sellout, and they've been treated to a 24-0 Pittsburgh game in the fourth quarter. Bradshaw. Oh, what a throw to Jim Smith for the touchdown. A perfect rainbow throw to Smith, and the Steelers have 30.
Safety blitz, as you see Stollett come out, or not Stollett, you see Bradshaw come out the field. We're watching White Shoes Johnson going off. That's the second on the stretcher of the day.
And at the same time, Jack Ham is walking to the Pittsburgh clubhouse. Well, what a scene. Ham, an all-pro linebacker with a groin injury. He's going back to the Pittsburgh dressing room. And Johnson, the all-pro kick returner, to the Houston clubhouse. The kick is good by Barr. And with 8 minutes plus remaining in the game in Pittsburgh, the Steelers now lead it 31-0. Our NBC doubleheader. The Chargers will be all of that as they're ready for the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders with a great victory against the Rams last week in Los Angeles. That'll be seen by most of the country. Guido Merkins into the hold of Anthony Anderson, the rookie from Temple who made this Pittsburgh team. Stopped at the 28-yard line.
I think Bum Phillips might have been a little bit of a prophet. When I talked to him last night, I said, is this a good time to play Pittsburgh? He said, there is no good time to play Pittsburgh. Of course, we were referring to the fact that there were a number of injuries and a number of Pittsburgh frontliners would not play. But they have just been awesome here today.
Well, last week, every game seemed to be so close, 10 of the 14 games decided by a touchdown or less, and it seems to be just the opposite this week in the NFL. A lot of lopsided games. Nielsen right into the arms of Winston. 40, 30, 20, 10, touchdown. Dennis Winston's first NFL interception is a touchdown. Pittsburgh now leads at 36-0.
Dirt Winston, many feel, could be starting for most of the teams in the NFL. Of course, here he backs up the great Jack Lambert. And you see Gifford Nielsen going off the field. Bum Phillips there to talk to him. Watch Nielsen. He gets a pretty good shot right there from Beasley just as he unloads that football. Unable to get it high enough. And, of course, carried it in for the touchdown, add the extra point, and boy, and they bring in the stretcher out. You just hope that they don't have any more use for it today.
Timeout. The Steelers pounding on the Houston Oilers now lead 38-0 with 8.5 minutes left. Kruzik, who rarely sees duty, apparently going to come in the next possession by Pittsburgh. Let me correct myself. Dennis Winston did pick off 2 passes 2 years ago. That was his 3rd career interception, of course, his first touchdown. Ronnie Coleman down the sidelines and bumped out of bounds at the 30-yard line, just shy of the 30. And a little extra action over there. as Anthony Anderson, 33, comes out of a pile of Houston jerseys.
Now, these are football teams that have great respect for each other, but they have been so competitive over the past years that there are sparks flying when they get in groups, and every time they come together, you begin to wonder if they're going to come out without a fight. Guido Merkins there, number 12. He's a feisty little devil. Of course, I don't know whether he goes into a fight as a wide receiver or a defensive back or a quarterback.
Steelers try to use as many of their reserves as possible. We see the rookie, 49, Dwayne Woodruff, now in the secondary for Pittsburgh. Larry Anderson's playing a corner, number 30. That didn't look like the way they drew it on Bum Phillips' board. Little toss that was hesitant at best as Boobie Clark, acquired from the Bengals on waivers. 245-pounder from Bethune-Cookman, and Bum Phillips very pleased to have him on the club. Boobie Clark's first carry of the day gains very little. It's second and a short 10. Beasley and Taves made the tackle. Burrow to the left, Renfro to the right. Clark. The change of atmosphere might really help him. Ronnie Coleman, he's tackled at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and 10. Earl Campbell and Bum Phillips going to protect the franchise. It appears that Campbell's going to be rested the final 7.5 minutes of this game. 38-0 Pittsburgh, and oh, how lonely it can become when you run into one of these, and every National Football League player knows the feeling. It happens to everybody.
I've been on the long end of some of those 50-some-odd to nothing scores, and there's only one way to deal with it. You put it behind you and you forget about it, and very often coaches don't even let you look at the film of a game like this. They say that's a part of history, we just forget about it.
Nielsen hits Conrad Rucker. He caught only 2 passes all of last year, and now he has 3 this year. 260-pound target from Southern University. I thank Joe Costanza, our statistician, Barney McKinley, and Tim Fogarty. Player identification from Three Rivers Stadium. And we're starting to get some finals in the National Football League. There's the first of the day, and you have to imagine that the Jets were glad to hear that final gun. New England pounding them 56-3. 38-0 here in Pittsburgh. 6.5 minutes left in the game. Nielsen to Boobie Clark to the 46-yard line. John Banasak made the first hit, number 76.
St. Louis.
27-14, the Cardinals in the 4th quarter.
Minnesota down 26-7 in that game against Chicago.
That's the final now. Oh, Cincinnati shut out last week. And Buffalo 51-17 for the Bills.
I thought Knox had a defensive team back there.
Some crooked numbers on the board today.
Wow.
Ronnie Coleman. Oh,
running with power.
Yes, sir. 45-yard line of Pittsburgh. I'd better explain that expression, crooked numbers, which is borrowed from baseball lexicon. A manager loves nothing more to look up and see on his side those 8s and 7s and 5s. He said, I like to see those crooked numbers on the board for my team. And it looks as if the NFL following that suit today. Lots of 5s. Kruzik ready to come in for Pittsburgh. Other action. Final. Redskins. Oh, they hold off the Lions. The Lions 0-2. Washington now even at 1-1. 27-24 Washington. Time running out here in Pittsburgh. Steelers very much in command. 38-0. Big hole for Coleman, and he gets to the 40. And Dennis Winston, he hits as hard as any back in the league, doesn't he, Merlin?
He does. Coleman doesn't do bad in his own right. Coleman recently activated, in fact, just activated for this game, appears to be in pretty good shape. That's Dennis Winston, 53, coming in from the inside, and both Winston and Coleman went right bang on the head of Lauren Taves. I think Taves is beginning to wonder where he is. What happened to me? You get 2 guys banging that hard and then hit him right in the helmet. It has been a hard-hitting game. And we've talked about the frustration of the Houston Oilers, but it's just been one of those days when they couldn't do anything right. And the Steelers have been hot in spite of the injuries that they had had and the number of people who have gone in substitute positions. They have played near perfect football in this game today.
Any coach would be proud of the performance of his club. Follow this pattern of the Steelers. Rob Carpenter looking for the first down yardage, and he's at the sticks, out of bounds at about the 35-yard line. We received word, Merlin, that Steve Furness has a bruised knee for the Steelers. So the penalty of injury rising on both sides of the field. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
In 8 days, we'll have some interesting news for Pittsburgh on Channel 11.
Stadium sellout crowd of over 49,000 have watched the Steelers build their lead 38-0. And you stay tuned. We have the second half of this doubleheader on NBC coming up. Most of you will see the Raiders and the Chargers from San Diego. They're standing by out there in Southern California, as well as in Kansas City and in Miami.
One fine old gentleman up high in the stands here, enjoying the whole thing. Art Rooney. We'll get a look at him later on.
We'll see Mr. Rooney when we return to Three Rivers Stadium, where his Steelers lead it. Dearly loved owner of the Steelers, Art Rooney. It's a measure of the man. You look at the Pittsburgh Steeler press guide, you don't see a picture of Mr. Rooney. The coaches and players are featured. He's a man who has always taken the shadows and let his players and coaches have the bows, and took him a long time to enjoy the victories that are now piling up fast for this Pittsburgh organization. And you know, I think of Mr. Rooney the way I think of Gene Autry, the baseball owner of the California Angels, who, by the way, will be featured tonight at 10 o'clock, prime time here on NBC. A man loved by just about everyone who's ever met him. And I know there are a lot of people pulling, as they did for Rooney, for Mr. Autry to get into a baseball playoff.
Well, certainly one of the reasons for the great success here in Pittsburgh was the patience that he had with Chuck Noll early in his career when things were not going well here in Pittsburgh. But he said, hey, I believe we're on the right track, and he stayed with him.
Well, he was right. Ruby Clark showing some speed as he pounds down to the 26-yard line of the Steelers. And at this point, with 4 minutes left in the game for the Oilers, a chance at least to save a little face and get on the scoreboard. They don't want to be shut out by Pittsburgh.
We just got word that Lauren Taves has jammed his neck, will not return today, and this is beginning to resemble what they called the Hospital Bowl last year in the Astrodome, when so many players from both of these teams went to the sideline because of the very violent play.
Guido Merkins, a backup third-string quarterback, is now the wide receiver to the left with Renfro in the slot. Will Campbell has not played most of this fourth quarter. Coleman, just activated before this game, had a contract dispute at the start of the season, joined the club late, did not play last week, suited up today, and he's seen plenty of duty. Tackled by Tom Beasley. Close to a first down, may have a measurement.
They're calling it a first down as they move the sticks down. And I think both coaches feel the same way as this game grinds to a close. They just want to get it over with and get it behind them. Pittsburgh with not much left to prove on this day, and certainly Houston with many wounds to lick from what they've had on the field today.
First down to Coleman. A play call almost as if Nielsen didn't realize he had a first down. He lined up in a tight formation and went off tackle and got short yardage. Clock running down to 2:40, 2:39. Steelers led at halftime 10-0. Still had a game there, but they scored twice in the third period and 2 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter, taking advantage of just about every turnover. And on this day, their superior effort. They just have done so many things well. It'll be a challenge. What did someone call the Steelers? The Goliath of football at the present time. Everyone taking slingshots out at them. Sometimes it takes a little more than that.
Well, playing the way they have today, they're not going to sneak up on many people around the NFL. Of course, they wouldn't anyway. A Super Bowl champion like the Steelers carries a special responsibility in their games, because everyone says, hey, if we beat them, we have instant status.
2 minutes left in this one. We have a timeout. The score, Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, the Steelers 38, Houston nothing.
One's too strong.
2 minutes remaining. Bum Phillips Oilers down at the Pittsburgh 21-yard line looking for their first score of the game. They trail 38-0. 6 yards passing for the Oilers. Oh my, Dan Pastorini started off with a shoulder injury. Chuck Noll's defense. That's an appropriate nickname. Tough as steel. Incomplete is Nielsen. By the way, Earl Campbell today, 38 yards rushing, 16 tries, a 2-yard average. That's his lowest NFL total for a game in his 2 brilliant years. Let's go down all the scores for you. Final, New England 56, the Jets 3. Final, the Bears beat Minnesota 26-7. Final, Washington 27, Detroit 24. Final, Green Bay coming from behind. They trailed 12-0 at the half, beat New Orleans 28-19. Late in the fourth quarter, Buffalo 51, Cincinnati 24. In the third period, Baltimore 17, Tampa Bay 13. The other games just starting: Oakland, San Diego, Dallas, San Francisco, Seattle, Miami, Cleveland, Kansas City. Stay tuned. We'll have the second half of our doubleheader right after the final gun. We'll waste no time. We'll get you right out to those other games. Third down and 3. Clark to the 14-yard line, appears to be just short of the first down. He's 23, but he won a few Cupid dolls at the carnival.
He's a fine young man too. He's plays professional soccer before he arrives here. Had about 20 games professional soccer. Said he had a mad Hungarian for a coach.
That's his father, and his brother Chris, of course, the kicker with the Bengals. A great family from Penn State. 4th and 1. Coleman right into the thick of that Steeler defense, and I believe he has the first down. Gary Dunn, 67, first man to make the hit as the seconds tick away in this fourth quarter of a bruising game. Bruising the ego of the Oilers, who trail 38-0, but much more seriously, their core crippled by some key injuries, primarily Pastorini and White Shoes Johnson. Started off on a stretcher. They're the lineup for the second game of our doubleheader. We'll go right to those games at the final gun. We're in the final minute here in Pittsburgh. Ball just inside the 10-yard line as Nielsen staying on the ground. Clock now 36 seconds. No effort to stop that clock by the Oilers, who are as close as they've been today to a score. Executive producer of NBC Football, Don Ohlmeyer. Telecast of today's game has been produced by David Stern, directed by Ted Nathanson. Technical director was Bruce Berquist. Mike Hadley was our associate producer, and Randy Wands, our associate director. Good job, gentlemen. Nielsen knocked away by rookie Zach Valentine, number 54. It was the second-round pick out of East Carolina by the Steelers. Just 13 seconds left. Stay tuned. The second half of the doubleheader coming up immediately. There's your lineup.
Just as a parting thought, Dick, I'm sure that Chuck Noll would like to take some of these points with him into the rest of the season, maybe parcel out 4 or 5 a week. And it's nice that Coach Bum Phillips and his staff can put this game behind him and say, hey, we got a new week, new chance. Let's forget about this one.
Nielsen has a man open, and Renfro ran out of room in the back line of the end zone with 8 seconds left. Well, next week, the Steelers will be at St. Louis, and the Cardinals gave Dallas all they wanted last week and playing well again today. And the Houston Oilers will host the Kansas City Chiefs, who thus far have played very well. So there's no oasis.
It doesn't get easy. And of course, people looking at this film, certainly on the Pittsburgh side, will have cause to wonder what in the world they're going to do against the defense and how they're going to stop that offense.
Last play for the Oilers, 4th down, 8 seconds left. Nielsen looking for 6, hits Merkins for a touchdown. So Guido Merkins, that is his first NFL score, playing wide receiver, the 3rd-string quarterbacks for Houston. And with 3 seconds left, Chuck Noll with a smile, and that's almost a nasty smile from the head coach of the Steelers.
I don't think that's a nasty smile. I think that he is almost smiling in relief for Bum Phillips and for the Oilers. He didn't want to have them shut out. He's a very nice gentleman. He's not going to give you anything, but to see the score by a guy who has such little notoriety as Merkins, it's strange irony that he would be the guy to score their 6 points.
Frisch to try the point after, and he punches it through. And interestingly, Merlin, Joe Costanza logging that drive. The Oilers finally score in the final seconds, and it took them 18 plays on that drive to punch it in. And a toss from Nielsen, who, by the way, These are his first ever NFL passes, and of course in that, or this year, 2 for 4 last year, but his first NFL touchdown, Nielsen to Guido Merkins. Tony Frisch, his one prized possession, not the antiques he likes to sell or collect, but those shoes. They're 5.5 years old. He guards them with his very life.
He must feel as he did earlier in the year when he came out, picked up his jersey, and realized they'd misspelled his name in one of the preseason games. Well, it's been that kind of day. I think there are a lot of players on the Houston side of the line who'd like to have somebody else's name on their back today. It's been that kind of day.
I would close out with an interesting note for you NFL fans. Tony Frisch, that is all time, the best that's kept secret in football. He is the best percentage field goal kicker in the history of this game. Over 69%, Frisch.
I watched him kick one day in practice, and he said, how you want it to go? Left, right, up? You want me to hook it? I think he really has marvelous control of the football. And although he doesn't look the role of the great athlete, he does have tremendous ability.
Onside kick covered by Robin Cole of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It did not go on the 10 yards, but the team receiving can cover it in that zone before 10. That's the end of the game. Terry Bradshaw and the Pittsburgh Steelers are now 2-0 after a scare Monday night. They come back to beat the Houston Oilers today, 38-7.
Promotional fee has been paid to win.
With us at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, Terry Bradshaw and the Steelers winning convincingly, 38-7. Now stay tuned. Most of you will see the second half of our NFL doubleheader. Cleveland, Kansas City, Seattle, Miami, Oakland, San Diego, after these messages from your local station.